The first time I touched Focus 21, I didn't have a name for it. All I knew was that I wasn't quite here anymore. My body felt heavy and distant, like stone. My mind, on the other hand, stretched wide open, as if the walls of the room had dissolved and I was standing at the edge of something much bigger. Time bent, the usual chatter of thought faded, and for the first time in my life, I felt I had crossed a threshold I didn't know existed. I later learned there was a name for this place: Focus 21. It isn't just meditation. It isn't simply relaxation or imagination. It is the edge between the physical and the non-physical mind, a perceptual frontier where the ordinary rules of consciousness begin to loosen. This book, Focus 21, Crossing the Threshold of Mind, is both a map and a field guide. It weaves science with story, practical tools with lived experience, so you can not only understand this state but also step into it for yourself. Think of it as opening a doorway that has always been there, one you've probably brushed against in dreams, in creative flow, or in those rare timeless moments when you lose yourself completely. Focus 21 is an invitation to return, with awareness, and explore what lies just beyond the threshold. Introduction: The doorway few walk through. Story: my first encounter with Focus 21 and why it changed how I saw reality. It was an ordinary day, and I was flipping through a book when I came across a chapter on altered states of consciousness. The author described Focus 21, a state of awareness that was intriguing and completely foreign to me. The idea that our mind could venture beyond ordinary waking life sparked something deep within me. I imagined all the possibilities that lay in uncharted territories of thought. What if we had untapped abilities just waiting to be discovered? My heart raced at the thought of diving into an inner space that held secrets of my consciousness. The more I read, the more exciting it became. I learned about brainwave frequencies and how they change with different states of awareness. Beta for active thinking, alpha for relaxation, theta for creativity, and delta for deep sleep. I couldn't help but wonder, what if I could access theta and go on a journey within? This blending of science and mysticism felt like an invitation to peer into the depths of my own mind. As I began my exploration, I tried simple practices like quiet meditation to enter those states. At first, it was challenging to quiet my thoughts, but the more I practiced, the more I felt those layers of reality peeling back. Each session brought new insights, realizations about myself and the world around me. It was thrilling to feel my perception expand, stretching beyond the confines of everyday experiences. I found comfort in knowing that science is gradually beginning to acknowledge these fascinating aspects of our mind, even if some things still elude explanation. The beauty lies in that mystery, an invitation to keep seeking and exploring, to dance between what we know and what we have yet to uncover. Have you ever felt that sudden spark of curiosity igniting a path forward? If you're willing to dig deeper, you might just uncover some wonders that reshape your understanding of reality. Begin by carving out a few minutes each day for quiet solitude. Focus on your breath, allowing thoughts to flow without attachment. Explore different techniques, like visualization or mantra repetition, to see which resonates. As you create this space, notice what unfolds in your mind. Allow yourself to drift into a state of awareness that feels expansive. What might you discover about yourself and your relationship with the world? This simple practice can uncover layers of existence you may not have noticed before, nudging you closer to a heightened state of awareness. Why Focus 21 is not just meditation, it's a perceptual frontier. It wasn't like anything I had experienced in ordinary meditation or quiet reflection. Instead, it felt like tuning into a wavelength just beyond the static of everyday thoughts. This wasn't about emptying the mind or simply feeling calm. It was about opening a window to new ways of seeing and experiencing reality. At that moment, I realized that what I was entering was less a practice and more an invitation to expand what felt possible in my own awareness. In this chapter, we'll explore why Focus 21 isn't simply our typical meditation but a threshold, a gateway to perceiving reality through new lenses, blending science with a whisper of mystery, inviting us to expand our inner horizon. Unlike traditional meditation that often encourages settling inward or observing thoughts from a distance, Focus 21 engages the mind in a state where perception shifts and the boundaries between self and surroundings blur. Think of it as stepping off a familiar path and walking onto a terrain where your senses and awareness stretch beyond their usual limits. This experience taps into something the brain calls a different state of consciousness, often linked to unique brainwave patterns. Research shows that as our brainwaves slow down or enter the theta range, the barriers between the conscious mind and subconscious begin to shift. What Focus 21 offers is a guided way to access this zone, where time can feel elastic, and the usual filters our brain uses to interpret information soften. You might start noticing subtle details in your environment, or feel yourself connected to a larger current of experience that is normally tucked away behind daily mental chatter. What if this isn't just a momentary shift, but a skill we can cultivate? The pioneers who developed Focus 21 studied both neuroscience and ancient wisdom, blending guided sound techniques with our understanding of how brainwaves respond to stimuli. Their method guides you not to empty your mind, but to enter a focused state that invites heightened perception. Through this, you begin to notice how your awareness shapes reality, not just in thoughts but in sensation and intuition. It's like adjusting a camera lens that's been stuck in one setting and finding a new focus that reveals hidden textures and colors around you. Have you ever been so absorbed in something that hours pass like minutes, or, conversely, a moment feels stretched? Focus 21 taps into these kinds of temporal shifts, but with a purpose. The experience often includes opening what some might call inner senses, or simply deeper layers of memory and feeling. While science can't fully explain these experiences yet, users frequently describe them as encounters with a greater sense of clarity and presence. This blend of measurable brain activity and unexplainable richness is what makes Focus 21 different. It moves beyond passive relaxation and invites you into an active exploration of perception itself. If you want to test this for yourself, here's a simple way to start. Find a quiet place and sit comfortably. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, trying to anchor your focus on the rhythm of your breath. As you do, gently bring your attention to the sounds around you, noticing their layers and movements without judging them. Allow yourself to be curious about how sound shapes what you feel inside. This shift in focus, from trying to quiet the mind to gently opening your senses, is a small step toward the kind of perceptual shift Focus 21 encourages. It's not about forcing anything but nudging your awareness toward new dimensions and seeing what unfolds. Overview of the journey ahead: science, experience, and tools. Every journey into understanding consciousness begins with curiosity. For centuries, people have wondered about what lies beyond the surface of our everyday awareness. Today, science offers many clues. Neuroscience, psychology, and even physics hint at the layers of reality we typically don't see. But science alone doesn't fully capture the lived experience of exploring these inner worlds. It's a blend of empirical discovery and personal feeling that guides us forward, each piece adding to a bigger picture of what consciousness truly is. Our path forward isn't just about learning facts, it's about engaging with the tools that allow us to tap into deeper states. We'll look at methods like meditation, breathwork, and even certain technological aids that can shift our brainwaves or perception. These tools act as keys, helping us access parts of ourselves that usually stay hidden beneath the noise of daily life. As we explore, you'll see that science provides a map, but your own experience is what truly lights the way. Understanding the process isn't about mastering one technique, but about assembling a palette of approaches that suit your pace and curiosity. Let's think of it as building a set of practical skills, things you can turn to when you want a glimpse beyond the visible world. For instance, certain breathing exercises can stabilize your mind, while mindfulness meditation might serve as a doorway to stillness. Combining those with a basic understanding of neuroscience helps demystify what happens during altered states, making the journey less about mysticism and more about exploration grounded in science. In the end, this journey is about cultivating trust in your own sensations, in the tools that work for you, and in the ongoing dance between the known and the unknown. Every step, every insight, adds a layer of understanding. These discoveries aren't just academic, they become parts of how you experience your own consciousness. You'll find that the right combination of curiosity, science, and practical tools reveals a landscape that's waiting quietly behind the curtain of ordinary awareness. Start by paying close attention to your breath, something simple but powerful. Notice how focusing on your inhale and exhale can quiet the mind and create space for subtle shifts. This practice is your first tool, a gentle way to begin listening to the silent worlds that exist just beyond the chatter of thought. By building this habit, you open a door that leads inward, inviting you to experience layers of your own mind that are often overlooked. Chapter 1. Mapping the States of Consciousness. What focus levels mean. Origin, Monroe Institute model. The idea of focus levels, as outlined by the Monroe Institute, offers us a unique way to understand the different states of consciousness we experience. These levels are like a map, guiding us through the often uncharted territories of our minds. Have you ever found yourself lost in thought, drifting into a daydream, or suddenly snapping back to reality? That fluctuation between awareness and distraction reflects these focus levels. Each level serves as a gateway, allowing access to inner worlds where insights, creativity, and even spiritual experiences can emerge. Imagine being able to navigate these states deliberately, like choosing the right avenue in a bustling city of thoughts and feelings. The Monroe Institute identified several focus levels, ranging from the everyday waking state to deeper, altered states of consciousness. For instance, Focus 10 is often referred to as mind awake, body asleep, a space where you can explore your thoughts without the distractions of physical sensations. It's an invitation to explore the rich landscape of your imagination while your body rests. By understanding these focus levels, we can recognize the fluid nature of consciousness, not rigid, but rather adaptable, allowing us to slip into different roles as needed. The origins of these focus levels are deeply rooted in both psychological research and mystical traditions. Robert Monroe, the founder of the Monroe Institute, began exploring out-of-body experiences in the 1950s. His personal quest led him to map these states, fusing his findings with scientific inquiry. He uncovered a relationship between brainwave patterns, like alpha and theta waves, and altered states of consciousness. As science examines these phenomena, we find intriguing connections to ancient practices that have long contemplated the nature of mind and reality. As you navigate your own process, consider keeping a journal of your experiences with these focus levels. Note when you feel you are in a different state of awareness, whether through meditation, music, or even mundane activities. Reflecting on these moments can reveal patterns and preferences, helping you understand how different states influence your thoughts and feelings. Allow yourself the freedom to explore these outer realms of consciousness, as they might just unfold new dimensions of yourself. What revelations await you in those quieter spaces of your mind? The road from everyday waking consciousness to altered states. There's a certain comfort in the steady rhythm of our everyday waking consciousness. It's where most of life happens: work, conversation, errands, and quiet moments alike. Our minds feel clear and focused, tuned into the world right in front of us. Yet beneath that clarity lies something quieter, almost like a faint hum or a shadow. It hints at other ways of being, unseen layers of experience that weave through and around our daily moments. Have you ever caught yourself staring out the window, time slowing down, thoughts softening? That feeling is a gentle reminder that our usual waking state is not the only way our minds can work. Our brain operates on patterns of electrical activity called brainwaves, shifting naturally depending on our experience. Most of the day, we move between beta waves, which dominate when we're alert and busy, and alpha waves, which surface during relaxation or light daydreaming. These rhythms shape how we perceive the world: fast, clear, or calm and detached. But there are other brainwave states, too. Theta waves, for example, emerge during deep relaxation, meditation, or the moments just before sleep. Delta waves come with deep, dreamless sleep. These less common states often align with what people call altered states of consciousness, moments when our mind moves beyond the usual chatter and opens to something else. What if those quiet moments between thoughts, the subtle shifts in your attention, are doors? Doors into experiences that feel a little like stepping off the familiar path and onto a wilderness trail. These altered states don't require wild rituals or intense effort. They often arrive in the way you breathe, in the way you notice your surroundings differently for just a second. Psychologists have found that even small changes in attention and body awareness can tweak brainwaves, nudging the mind toward these softer states. When you slow your breath or focus on a single sound, your brain's electrical activity shifts gently, opening a space where time might stretch or colors feel richer. It's almost like walking into a different room inside your own head. Some people seek these states through meditation, rhythmic music, breathwork, or even the repetitive motions of a craft. Scientists studying these practices observe how the brain's activity changes, painting a picture of how ordinary consciousness can blend into something altered but still tethered to reality. This blend is a fascinating middle ground where imagination feels vivid, insights surface with ease, and the usual boundaries between self and world may soften. You probably have experienced these moments without naming them, daydreams that feel almost real, or that sudden clarity that comes in a quiet pause during a busy day. Next time you find yourself caught up in a routine moment, like waiting in line or taking a slow walk, try this. Tune into your breath and notice its natural rhythm without trying to change it. Observe how this small shift pulls your mind out of the constant flow of thoughts. As you deepen into this awareness, see if time feels different or if the world seems to glow with a new light. These tiny gateways can open your mind to experiences that are both familiar and strangely new. They remind us that consciousness is not fixed but fluid, shifting like the surface of a lake reflecting light in different ways. Now that you've touched the edge of this journey, let's step further in and discover what waiting beyond ordinary awareness might reveal. Focus 21 in context, bridging the physical and non-physical mind. I remember a moment when I was sitting quietly, watching the sunset, and suddenly felt a strange tingling sensation, as if the boundary between my physical body and something unseen dissolved for a brief instant. It was a fleeting experience, yet it left me pondering, where does the physical end and the non-physical begin? Perhaps you've noticed something similar during moments of deep meditation, a near sleep state, or even just when daydreaming. These experiences challenge the clear-cut separation we usually assume exists between what we can touch and what we can't. I invite you to reflect on your own moments when the edges of the physical thin out, revealing the subtle layers that often go unnoticed. This naturally leads us into exploring how consciousness, our awareness of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, serves as a bridge between the tangible brain and the vast territories of the mind beyond the senses. Science shows us that our brain processes external stimuli through electrical signals and chemical reactions. Different states like waking, dreaming, or meditative moments correspond to specific patterns of brainwaves, from rapid beta waves to slow delta waves. But mysticism hints at a more expansive role for consciousness, suggesting it extends beyond the physical brain's limitations. Could it be that our awareness is some form of energy or information flowing between physical neurons and a larger, non-physical consciousness? This idea opens the door to understanding Focus 21, a point where we begin to see the mind not as merely a product of neurons but as an interface that connects the physical with the unseen. Think about how often we experience flashes of insight, gut feelings, or intuitive knowing that seem to arise from nowhere. These moments often feel like a thin thread linking us to something beyond ordinary perception. Neuroscience attributes these to activity in certain brain regions, but sometimes we sense that there's more involved. Consider the way some people can recall distant memories with vivid detail, or how others can tap into a collective consciousness, feeling connected even when physically apart. These experiences suggest that our mind is capable of accessing non-physical information, an energetic or informational layer underneath or alongside our tangible thoughts. Recognizing this connection can help us see our consciousness as a bridge rather than a boundary, bringing us closer to understanding how Focus 21 operates as a point of interface between mind and reality itself. How brainwave patterns shift, beta, alpha, theta, beyond. Have you ever sat quietly, perhaps with a warm cup of tea, and noticed how your thoughts begin to shift as you breathe? It's a magical experience when the hustle and bustle of the day fades into a pleasant hum in the background. You might start with racing thoughts, a mind buzzing like a bee, darting from one task to another. This is the realm of beta brainwaves, where we navigate our busy lives with an alert focus. In that moment, however, as you quiet your mind, perhaps closing your eyes for just a few minutes, you might feel a calming wave wash over you. Your mental chatter begins to slow, transforming into a more serene state. It's as if you're gently sliding down a hill from the rapid pace of life into a soothing valley of relaxation. This is where alpha brainwaves come into play, typically observed when you're relaxed yet alert. The transition can feel organic, like finding a comfortable rhythm, as if your mind is tuning into a gentle melody. Have you noticed how time seems to stretch in these moments? This shift doesn't just happen in meditation or quiet moments. Think about those times when you're lost in thought during a walk in the park or while you're in the shower, allowing your daydreams to unfold freely. The ability to shift between these states ties closely to how we experience our day-to-day life, and understanding this can be empowering. So, What's behind these fascinating shifts? Let's peek into the science of brainwaves. Brainwaves are categorized by frequency. Beta waves range from 12 to 30 Hz and reflect alertness, while alpha waves, operating between 8 and 12 Hz, indicate relaxation and readiness to receive information. It's incredible how mere fluctuations in frequency can represent different states of consciousness. When the noise of beta fades and the soft tones of alpha begin, something magical happens. You might notice that your creativity flows more freely, or that your problem-solving skills sharpen. As we continue this journey inward, we enter the dreamy terrain of theta brainwaves, which range from 4 to 8 Hz. This is a deep state of relaxation that often lies just before sleep, where our thoughts can flow more freely, and vivid visual imagery can present itself. It's in this theta state that many creatives find inspiration, with moments of insight often coming like fireworks in the dark. Surreal experiences in this brainwave state could give way to lucid dreams, allowing you to explore new realms within your imagination. It's here that we unravel the threads of our subconscious mind, where our deepest instincts and memories reside. What if we could tap into even deeper brainwave states? Beyond theta, there exists a lesser-known territory often referred to as delta, which operates below 4 Hz. Delta waves are typically associated with deep sleep and restorative processes. People in this state might experience a profound sense of peace and healing. Interestingly, in certain practices like deep meditation or advanced yogic techniques, some individuals report the ability to access these states while maintaining awareness, an extraordinary blend of deep relaxation and heightened consciousness. With understanding comes the appreciation of our brain's complex architecture. It may seem daunting at first, but these shifts are part of our daily experience. Learning to notice these changes opens up a world of potential for personal development. Imagine how our awareness of these states could enrich our lives. We can practice paying attention to our mental shifts, perhaps starting with minutes of quiet reflection each day. And as you engage with these practices, ask yourself, what can I uncover in my mind today? Allow each unique state to guide you deeper into the understanding of your mental landscape. You'll find there's a wealth of insight awaiting just beneath the surface. Experiment with short activities that bring your awareness to these brainwave transitions. For instance, try setting a timer for 5 minutes to focus on your breathing, noting how your thoughts evolve from a rapid pace to something more tranquil. What experiences or images arise as you slip into these gentle brainwave states? Such observations can become gateways to richer introspection. Chapter 2: The Science of the Threshold. Neuroscience of Altered States. What EEG and fMRI reveal. Have you ever wondered what your brain looks like when you're not quite yourself? When reality bends slightly, whether through meditation, dreaming, or even a moment of intense focus, your brain's activity changes in fascinating ways. Tools like EEG and fMRI offer glimpses into these hidden worlds inside our heads. EEG, or electroencephalography, measures the tiny electrical signals generated by neurons firing, painting a picture of the brain's rhythms as they shift. It's like listening to the brain's music, picking up on waves that pulse with different speeds and patterns. fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, does something different but just as magical. It captures changes in blood flow in the brain, revealing which areas light up when you slip into an altered state. What makes these tools especially exciting is how they blend raw data with something almost poetic, the brain's dance between the known and unknown. When a person closes their eyes and drifts into deep meditation, EEG might reveal a rise in slow, calming waves called delta or theta. These waves feel like the brain's version of deep ocean tides, slow, steady, and mysterious. Meanwhile, an fMRI scan could simultaneously show increased activity in areas linked to self-awareness, or a quieting down of the parts that handle everyday worries. It's not just science, it's a story told by the brain's shifting landscape. While EEG captures the brain's electrical whispers in real time, fMRI offers a slower but more detailed view of brain areas cooperating or retreating. They complement each other like two sides of the same coin, giving researchers clues about what the mind is doing beyond our usual waking experience. Imagine witnessing the brain slow down at moments of calm or surge with bursts of activity when consciousness takes on new shapes. These technologies make what once seemed invisible, visible. If you close your eyes and hold still long enough, your brain begins to hum with different frequencies. These brainwave patterns, alpha, beta, delta, theta, and gamma, signal more than just idle moments or deep sleep. They mark thresholds between waking life and altered states, showing where one form of consciousness folds into another. Alpha waves might appear when you're relaxed but awake, a gentle hum that feels like the quiet lull before a dream. Theta waves, on the other hand, often bloom during light sleep or deep meditation, floating on the edge of awareness like a mist rising from a hidden lake. In moments of awe or creative insight, gamma waves flash briefly, showing up as fast, intense bursts of neural activity. Through EEG, scientists have seen these patterns shift as people enter trance-like states, experience vivid hallucinations, or respond to psychedelic experiences. fMRI scans reveal complementary stories, showing how the brain's default mode network, usually active when we're lost in thought or focused on ourselves, quiets down during some altered states, while other networks light up in surprising ways. This flip in brain activity might explain that effortless feeling of being outside yourself, or deeply connected to something beyond the usual. These glimpses into the thresholds of consciousness invite us to ask, what exactly changes when our sense of self loosens, and the mysterious begins to seep in? The shifts in brainwaves and patterns of activity suggest that altered states aren't just weird or different. They are windows into how flexible and surprising human consciousness truly is. The brain can relax, expand, focus, or dissolve into waves of awareness that defy ordinary explanation, and EEG and fMRI help us watch this play of light and shadow unfold. How about trying something simple? The next time you feel restless or overwhelmed, try sitting quietly and focusing on your breath for a few minutes. As your mind quiets, notice how your thoughts slow and your awareness shifts. If you could measure your brain right then, your EEG might show rising alpha waves, a sign your brain is calming down and opening to a new kind of awareness. That small practice is like catching a glimpse of the hidden rhythms that these neuroscience tools reveal, and maybe even touching the edges of that fascinating space between waking and altered states. Hemispheric synchronization and whole brain states. Have you ever noticed how sometimes your thoughts feel scattered, while other times they seem to flow smoothly? That experience often mirrors what happens inside your brain's two hemispheres. Our brain is split into the left and right sides, each with its own way of processing information. Usually, these sides work in harmony, each taking on different tasks that complement each other. When they do a good job of syncing up, it creates a balanced state where thinking, feeling, and sensing happen more seamlessly. During these moments, you might feel more focused, creative, or even deeply relaxed. This alignment, the merging of hemispheric activity, can open pathways toward what we call whole brain states, moments where everything seems to work together in an integrated dance. But what if these two sides of our brain could be brought into even closer tune? That is the core idea behind hemispheric synchronization, sometimes called hemispheric coherence. It's about creating a kind of harmony so tight that the brain's electrical patterns start to match across both hemispheres. When this happens, a kind of mental unity occurs. Your thoughts become clearer, your perception expands, and you may even enter altered states of consciousness that feel more whole and interconnected. These states aren't just fancy ideas. They show up in experiences like deep meditation, rhythmic drumming, or even specific brainwave patterns known as alpha or theta waves. It's as if your mind is learning to settle into a common rhythm, a shared beat that unites all its parts, making everything feel more integrated and alive. Understanding how these states arise begins with looking at brain activity, specifically, the electrical signals that pulse through our neurons. The brain produces different kinds of waves depending on what we're doing or feeling. For example, when you're alert and alertness is high, beta waves dominate. When you're relaxed, alpha waves take over. During deep sleep, delta waves are prevalent. Interestingly, during altered states, like meditation or focused concentration, certain waves become stronger and more synchronized across both hemispheres. This synchronized pattern isn't just random, it reflects a harmonized brain, a balanced symphony rather than a discordant noise. When these waves align, it becomes easier to shift into whole brain states, unlocking deeper perceptions and a sense of connectedness that often feels mystical or outside ordinary experience. To get there, many practitioners use techniques such as breathing exercises, rhythmic sounds, or binaural beats that encourage the brain to balance its activity and foster the kind of synchronization that leads to these expansive states. Time distortion and enhanced perception, measurable or mystical. Have you ever been so engrossed in an experience that time seemed to slip away unnoticed? Perhaps while reading a gripping book or getting lost in a creative project, you looked up only to find hours had passed. Altered states of consciousness, whether through mindfulness, meditation, or even a moment of heightened excitement, can stretch our perception of time. I remember a particular hiking trip where everything around me felt hyperreal. The colors were more vibrant, the sounds clearer, and each moment felt packed with depth. This sensation often aligns with brainwave changes that scientists track in the lab. During these states, our brains may shift into a different frequency, letting us experience life with a refreshing intensity. It's almost as if the barriers we usually perceive fade away, allowing us to connect deeply with the present. Research shows that our brains can slip in and out of various states, such as alpha, beta, theta, and even delta waves. Each of these brainwave patterns is associated with different kinds of mental activity. For instance, when we are relaxed and daydreaming, we move into alpha waves. In contrast, during deep sleep, we might drift into delta waves. This variance isn't merely academic, it underscores how our perception of time can flex based on our brain state. Imagine feeling fully in the moment and then thinking hours have gone by. This isn't as mysterious as it sounds. It's our brain, actively shifting its rhythm as it navigates through different levels of consciousness. Is the experience of time distortion a scientifically measurable phenomenon or something more mystical? This question is as intriguing as it is complex. Scientific studies focus on the neural underpinnings of these experiences, seeking to untangle how and why our mind can manipulate time perception. For example, psychologists have studied the concept of time flies when you're having fun, revealing that peak emotional experiences can lead to longer-lasting memories, making it seem as if time has raced by. Alternatively, moments filled with anxiety often feel prolonged, as if time drags on painfully. These are psychological elements that influence how we experience and remember time. While we may not fully grasp how consciousness works or why time feels elastic in certain moments, embracing this mystery can be both exciting and enlightening. The interplay between psychological intuitions and neurological responses enriches our understanding of perception. A minor tweak, such as focusing on our breath, can shift our awareness and transform how we perceive time's passing. Begin this practice by taking a few moments daily to sit in silence, concentrate on your breath, and notice the sensations around you. Over time, you might just find yourself experiencing those tender stretches of time spontaneously, full of beauty and insight. So, the next time you find yourself feeling out of sync with time, pause and reflect. What moment captured your focus? Was it a time of joy, creativity, or perhaps a rush of adrenaline? By bringing awareness to your experiences, you might uncover the fluid relationship between perception and the mysterious flow of time. What could happen if you consciously sought to alter your perspective on time today? Where science ends and subjective experience begins. Have you ever noticed how scientists can measure nearly everything about the brain, waves, chemicals, electrical pulses, but when it comes to what you're actually feeling or sensing inside, their instruments fall silent? Science gives us tools that map brain activity down to milliseconds, tracking neural pathways lighting up like city streets at night. We know which areas respond to emotions, memories, or pain. Functional MRI scans reveal where decisions start, and EEG patterns hint at shifting moods. Yet, no matter how detailed these measurements become, they stop short of capturing the living texture of your experience, the way a memory tastes, the warmth of love, or the sharp sting of loss. Those aren't just data points. They live in a place that's quietly private, a personal world that science can observe but doesn't truly enter. Imagine the brain as a complex orchestra, and science as the conductor tasked with reading the scores and adjusting the tempo. While the conductor can note when the violin swells or the drum beats faster, the feeling you get when the music moves you, that's something else entirely. It belongs to the listener, a subjective moment that slips between every measure. Consciousness, as science defines it, is often reduced to brain states and physical processes, which is undeniably impressive. Yet, anyone who's ever contemplated a sunrise's beauty or tasted chocolate knows there's more going on inside than cells firing. That gap between the measurable and the felt is where subjective experience begins, living quietly beyond microscopes and equations. Science shines brightest when explaining the predictable and repeatable. how neurons communicate, or how perception arises in the brain's visual cortex. But subjective experience, by contrast, has a kind of unpredictability that resists easy capture. It's like trying to photograph a sunset with a single pixel. The essence escapes in the details, evading reduction to quantifiable pieces. What this suggests is not that science is incomplete, but that it operates on a different plane from personal experience. The objective facts tell us where and how, but the what it's like for you to be you remains a profound mystery. It's as if consciousness wears two faces, one that science can observe, and another that you alone hold the key to. Neuroscience has made incredible strides in mapping how the brain constructs reality, yet it meets a boundary that is not just technical but philosophical. This is the boundary where the machinery of neurons and synapses meets the flowing river of perception and awareness. When you close your eyes and imagine a beach, your brain activates regions related to visual and sensory processing. Scientists can watch this happen in real time. Still, what they cannot see, measure, or replicate is the sensation of being there. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of waves crashing softly, the peace swelling inside you. This is not a failure of science, but an invitation to recognize that perception shapes reality beyond what any scan can reveal. What if perception is not just a reflection of the brain's activity, but also a creative act, a constant interpretation that colors everything we experience? Two people can witness the same event and walk away with entirely different memories and feelings. Science can track the neural signatures unique to each brain, but can't fully capture the story each mind constructs from those signals. The world you see isn't just out there waiting to be perceived. It's actively shaped by your consciousness, biases, emotions, and past experiences. This interplay between brain and mind marks the edge where neuroscience's clarity fades into the rich obscurity of personal meaning. Consider phantom limb syndrome. People who have lost a limb can still feel it, sometimes with sharp pain or intense movement. Science can explain some nerve impulses and brain rewiring. But what about the reality of discomfort in a limb that no longer exists? The subjective experience persists independently of physical presence. This shows that our internal sense of self, our consciousness, can't be fully pinned down by observing the body alone. It points to a mysterious zone, a meeting place between measurable brain function and untouchable experience. That place invites us to recognize not only what the brain does chemically, but how the mind weaves those actions into the rich fabric of awareness. If you want to sense this boundary yourself, try an exercise. Close your eyes and focus on a single feeling, maybe a taste, a sound, or the sensation of your breath moving in and out. Notice how you can describe the physical act, like the lungs expanding, but also how it feels from the inside. Soft, cool, calming, or maybe restless. Can you sense how the experience holds both the concrete and the mysterious? This simple observation points to where science stops counting neurons, and you begin to experience life firsthand. Night turns into day not by data, but by the quiet light of awareness itself. When we acknowledge this boundary, it doesn't diminish the power of science. Instead, it opens up space for wonder. It suggests that understanding ourselves requires both researchers in labs and explorers of consciousness. We can look at brain scans and theory, but we also need to sit in quiet and notice how everything feels from the inside. That delicate balance between measurable signals and unmeasurable experiences shapes the way we know the world, and ourselves. As you carry this with you, I invite you to notice where your own experience slips beyond explanation. What colors fill your inner sky when no one else is watching? That is where subjective experience lives, quietly waiting for you to see it. Chapter 3: The Traveler's Mindset. Why intention matters more than technique. Have you ever entered a room with a clear purpose in mind and felt something shift inside you? Maybe you've tried a new meditation, a breathing exercise, or a certain relaxation technique, only to find the results mixed or fleeting. What if I told you that the real power isn't just in how you do things, but in why you do them? Our mindsets shape every experience of consciousness more than any method ever could. When we set a genuine, heartfelt intention before exploring altered states or new practices, we create a spark that guides our entire experience. Think of intention as the invisible force that colors your perception, assigning meaning and focus to your journey. Without that clarity, even the most advanced techniques can feel hollow or disconnected, like a song played on the wrong key. Our brains are wired to respond strongly to purpose. Neuroscience shows that when we approach an activity with a genuine intention, the brain releases certain chemicals, like dopamine, that enhance motivation and focus. For example, if you meditate to understand yourself better rather than just to relax, your brain is primed differently. Your mind starts to seek out connections and answers aligned with that purpose. Have you noticed how some sessions feel deep and meaningful, while others seem superficial? Often, it's because the underlying intention was clearer in one moment and fuzzy in another. Certainly, technique can support this process, but it's the intention that turns a mere practice into a meaningful voyage. Think of it like starting a journey. If your only goal is to try this technique, your focus stays on the method itself. But if your intention is to find peace, understand a mystery, or confront your fears, the entire experience shifts. The technique becomes a vehicle, not a destination. For instance, in meditation, focusing on unconditional kindness rather than simply trying to calm your mind invites a different set of neural responses. That intention fuels the practice with purpose. When intentions are rooted in authenticity, whether it's curiosity, love, or a desire for growth, they open the door to deeper states of awareness. It's as if you're tuning into the right frequency instead of just fumbling around with inconsistent signals. But cultivating true intention requires awareness. It's about asking yourself what you hope to gain from this experience and being honest about it. Sometimes, just pausing to clarify your purpose before starting can reshape the entire process. This might mean setting an intention like, "Today, I want to understand my fears better," rather than a vague "I want to relax." That clarity acts like a compass when the mind begins to wander. It helps you stay aligned with your deeper purpose rather than getting lost in surface-level results or distractions. Have you ever noticed how a simple shift in your intention can make a meditation or practice feel more alive and real? Perhaps the most surprising part is that intention is not something you create once and then forget. It's a continual, evolving state. As you deepen your practice, your intentions might shift, from seeking relief to seeking insight, from curiosity to compassion. Because of this, it's helpful to revisit your purpose regularly. Small questions like, "Why am I doing this?" or "What do I hope to explore today?" can recharge your focus. A practice grounded in genuine intention feels less like a chore and more like an act of discovery. When you hold your purpose consciously, technique simply becomes a tool, one that responds to your inner compass rather than blindly following a set of steps. This sense of purpose can turn a routine activity into an experience that resonates on a deeper level. Imagine approaching your morning meditation with the intention to connect with your compassion. That shifts your brain's response from mere stress relief to nurturing and understanding. Intentions act as a filter through which your awareness flows. They draw your focus inward and create space for breakthroughs that technical mastery alone can't reach. When technique and intention work together, they ignite a dance of purpose and process that opens pathways to states of consciousness you might not find with technique alone. Remember, a well-placed intention acts like a key, opening doors that techniques, no matter how refined, can't unlock by themselves. To apply this practically, start each session by quieting your mind and asking yourself what truly matters for you in that moment. Maybe it's clarity, patience, or understanding. Keep that intention at the forefront as a silent guide, gently reminding yourself of your purpose. When your mind strays or your focus wanes, return to that core reason. This simple step can transform even a brief practice into a meaningful journey deep into your consciousness. Ultimately, the more you pay attention to your internal purpose, the more your practices become a reflection of your authentic self, rather than just a set of actions on autopilot. What if your next practice began with a question rather than a to-do list? That small shift could make all the difference in how you experience your inner world. Emotional and psychological preparation before attempting Focus 21. Emotional and mental readiness is crucial before embarking on any exploration of consciousness, especially in practices like Focus 21. Picture this: you're preparing for a journey into the vast unknown, much like an astronaut before a space mission. There's a sense of excitement and, perhaps, a hint of anxiety. What if you could access parts of your mind that feel distant or hidden? Those elevated states can offer profound insights, but they also require you to be grounded and centered. The emotions we hold can shape our experience, influencing everything from the clarity of our perceptions to the depth of our insights. It's fascinating how a light mood can make your journey feel euphoric, while more unsettled emotions might cloud your experience. Think of your emotions as the weather forecast for your internal journey. If a storm is brewing, it may be best to address it before setting off. Engaging in self-reflection can be a handy tool here. When you check in with yourself and acknowledge your emotional state, you can better prepare for what lies ahead. This internal scan might involve asking questions like, am I feeling anxious? Am I open to new experiences? The goal isn't to suppress your emotions, but to understand them. This foundation allows you to navigate altered states with a greater sense of safety and clarity. Grounding techniques can be incredibly helpful in fostering a resilient mindset. Imagine standing barefoot on cool grass, feeling it under your feet. Simple practices like this can reconnect you with the present moment and bring a sense of calm. Visualization can also play a role. Picture yourself as a tree, deeply rooted in the earth while your branches stretch toward the sky. This imagery reinforces a strong base, helping you remain stable as you explore new heights. Another effective practice is mindfulness. Engaging in short daily mindfulness exercises can help you cultivate self-awareness. Even dedicating just a few minutes to deep breathing can shift your focus inward and allow you to observe your thoughts without judgment. It can be as simple as counting your breaths or noticing the sensations in your body. As you develop this awareness, you may notice patterns in your thoughts or feelings. Are there certain fears or anxieties that arise? Recognizing these allows you to work through them, creating space for a more open mindset. Engaging with supportive communities can also bolster your emotional readiness. Surrounding yourself with individuals who share similar interests can provide encouragement and validation. Consider finding a group interested in consciousness exploration, where you can share experiences, fears, and joys. Each story shared can be a healing balm, reminding you that you're not alone on this path. Together, you can rise above emotional disturbances and prepare for the adventure ahead. As you step into this journey, remember the importance of self-compassion. It's okay to feel emotions as they come. Treating yourself with kindness can ease the way forward and open the door to deeper exploration. As you prepare for the Focus 21 experience, take a moment each day to check in with your emotional landscape. Ask yourself, what do I need to release today? Or what intention do I want to set as I step into this journey? These small queries can guide you toward a more enriching experience, helping to create the emotional and mental space needed for what's to come. The balance between curiosity and grounding. Have you ever caught yourself staring out the window, mind wandering to places you've never been or ideas you've never considered? Curiosity works like an internal compass, nudging us to explore the vast landscape inside our minds and beyond what we know in the present moment. It's that spark that stirs questions, paints new possibilities, and invites us to wander off the beaten path. Neuroscience shows that when curiosity takes hold, our brain releases dopamine, a chemical that makes seeking new information feel rewarding and energizing. This isn't just mental play, it pulls us forward into discovery, encouraging creative thinking and deeper learning. Yet, as thrilling as it is to follow these threads of wonder, curiosity can also feel like a wild horse if left unchecked. That's where grounding comes in, a steady anchor that tethers our explorations back to here and now, preventing us from floating adrift. Grounding can be thought of as the roots of a tree, hidden, quiet, but essential. While curiosity opens doors to vast inner worlds, grounding helps us stay connected to the present moment, our bodies, and our environment. This balance is much like navigating through thick fog. You want to keep moving and discovering, but without losing sight of where you began or where you're headed. Psychological research points out that grounding practices help regulate emotions, reduce anxiety, and maintain clarity. When your mind races through endless ideas, grounding can settle you, creating a calm space from which to approach new insights. It's in this center that curiosity becomes more than random wandering. It transforms into meaningful exploration. Imagine being a traveler who insists on checking the map regularly, ensuring the adventure unfolds safely and purposefully. The dance between curiosity and grounding plays out in everyday life, often without us noticing. When you listen to a compelling story, your curiosity might pull you deeper, prompting questions or daydreams that stretch your imagination. At the same time, if you remain present, feeling the chair beneath you, noticing your breath, you maintain a balance that keeps your mind anchored ready to receive whatever insights come without losing yourself in distraction. That blend can create a kind of mental flow, where ideas rise and settle naturally. Some meditation practices harness this balance by encouraging curiosity about the sensations of the body or thoughts without judgment, while continuously returning attention to the present moment. It's like wandering through a garden. Curiosity invites you to examine every flower, petal, and insect, while grounding keeps your feet firmly on the path. One practical way to nurture this balance is by paying attention to your breathing. Have you ever noticed how simply slowing and deepening your breath can calm a restless mind? When curiosity stirs up a whirlwind of thoughts, intentionally tuning into your breath can serve as a gentle tether. Try this. When you feel your mind drifting into endless what ifs or maybe what happens ifs, pause and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Feel the air filling your lungs. Notice the slight pause before exhaling. This tiny break acts like a reset button, enabling your curiosity to return from flight with a clearer, more focused view. It also helps your nervous system shift from a state of hyperactivity into calm alertness, a state more conducive to genuine insight rather than scattered speculation. What if we saw curiosity not as a runaway train but as a lantern, one that shines brightest when held close and steady, where it reveals hidden corners and unexpected beauties without leaving us lost in the dark? That image captures the magic of balancing curiosity with grounding. It invites us to be both the explorer and the guardian of our inner journey. This dance between reaching out and settling in is part of what makes growth feel like an unfolding story rather than a frantic chase. Let your mind wander just enough to discover something new, then bring it back gently to rest and breathe. This rhythm helps us savor the richness of each moment, whether that moment is filled with wonder or quiet acknowledgement. As you sit with this balance today, ask yourself, where is my curiosity leading me, and how can I keep my feet steady while I follow it? Dangers of expectation versus the art of openness. Expectations are like silent filters that shape our experience without us realizing it. We often imagine how things should unfold, whether it's a meditation session, a difficult conversation, or personal growth itself. These mental sketches act as invisible barriers, constraining the way we perceive our journey. If you've ever hoped for a specific outcome, like feeling peaceful or reaching a certain insight, and didn't get it, you might have noticed how this shapes your attitude. Instead of simply experiencing what's there, your mind starts comparing, judging, and expecting. This comparison can create a subtle wall that prevents us from truly appreciating the moment as it is. Our anticipation of what should happen tethers us to specific visions, making the actual experience feel secondary or disappointing when reality doesn't match up. Science backs this up by showing that expectations activate certain parts of our brain that deal with prediction and valuation. When we cling to a hoped-for result, the brain produces a kind of internal tug-of-war, our nervous system tensions rise, and we become less receptive to what's happening right now. It's as if we're trying to steer a boat with a stern mindset, constantly trying to keep it on course, rather than letting the current carry us. This mental stance can distort our perception, making us overlook the subtleties and the messiness that often lead to genuine growth. We start craving certainty, control, and specific outcomes, yet in doing so, we limit the vastness of what can emerge from openness. Expectations are not just personal. They trickle into our relationships, our expectations of ourselves, even how we approach new experiences. For instance, going into a meditation practice with the belief that it should feel a certain way can set us up for disappointment. Sometimes, we unconsciously project an ideal version of what inner peace or success looks like, and this ideal becomes a ceiling that blocks us from discovering new depths. The more we cling to these ideas, the more distant the actual experience becomes. It's like trying to shoehorn life into a box, rather than allowing it to unfold naturally. Recognizing this can be the first step in loosening the grip of rigid expectations, unveiling what is hidden behind them, true openness. What if the key to genuine discovery isn't about controlling or predicting the outcome, but about leaning into the unknown with curiosity? This is where the art of surrender begins. Instead of telling ourselves how things should be, we start to observe what is present with a gentle, questioning stance. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means shifting from a rigid goal to a receptive attitude. When we stop demanding specific results, the mind relaxes, and space opens up for unexpected insights. Curiosity becomes an invitation rather than a requirement, allowing us to explore sensations, thoughts, and feelings without judgment or expectation. In this space, even the simplest moment, like noticing the rhythm of your breath, can reveal surprises and deepen your understanding of yourself. Neuroscience suggests that when we relax expectations, brainwave patterns shift. Alpha waves, associated with a calm, receptive state, become more prominent. In this relaxed state, the mind is more open to new ideas and less distracted by worries about what should happen next. Cultivating curiosity acts like a gentle breeze, encouraging the mind to wander freely and notice things previously overlooked. This is often the doorway to states of consciousness where new insights flicker into awareness, not because we force them, but because we create space for them. Letting go of rigid outcomes is an act of trust that the unknown is fertile ground for growth and discovery. A simple practice to start this shift is to approach any experience as an experiment rather than a quest for a specific result. For example, if you meditate, instead of aiming for calmness or particular insight, observe your thoughts and sensations with interest. Notice how your mind reacts when you release expectations. Ask yourself, what am I curious about right now? This attitude transforms the experience from a performance into a timeless space of exploration. As you practice, you may notice how the moment becomes richer and more layered, much like discovering new colors when your eyes are no longer fixed on one specific shade. Openness invites the unknown to speak, often in whispers rather than shouts. Chapter 4. Techniques to enter Focus 21. Binaural beats and hemisync explained. Binaural beats and hemisync are fascinating audio techniques that some people claim help enhance focus and deepen consciousness. Imagine listening to music, where two slightly different frequencies are played in each ear. Your brain then perceives a third tone, the difference between the two frequencies. This phenomenon is called binaural beats, and it nudges your brainwave activity into a desired state. It's like your brain is dancing to the music, creating a rhythm that can help you feel more focused or relaxed, depending on what you need at the moment. Hemisync, short for hemispheric synchronization, takes this idea a step further. Developed by Robert Monroe, this technique aims to synchronize the activity of both hemispheres of your brain, which is thought to create a more balanced state of consciousness. Monroe found that specific audio patterns can trigger this synchronization, allowing users to find deeper states of meditation or heightened creativity. Have you ever found yourself lost in thought while listening to a tune? That's a taste of what these techniques can offer, an inviting space where your mind can wander, explore, and discover. The science behind binaural beats and hemisync comes from understanding brainwaves. Our brain produces waves at different frequencies, typically categorized as delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. Delta waves are the slowest, often associated with deep sleep, while gamma waves are the fastest, linked to higher mental activity and concentration. Binaural beats can prompt your brain to shift its activity to various states depending on the frequency of the beats. For instance, listening to a binaural beat at 10 Hz can allow you to slip into an alpha state, often linked to relaxation and creativity. If you're intrigued, trying these techniques can be as simple as finding a quiet room and putting on headphones. Look for audio tracks specifically designed for binaural beats or hemisync. Start with a comfortable position and set aside a few minutes where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and let the sounds wash over you. You might be surprised at how quickly your mind sinks into that tranquil state. Remember, the experience can be different for everyone, so don't stress if it takes a few tries to feel the effects. As you begin your journey with binaural beats and hemisync, keep in mind that everyone reacts differently. Tracking your experiences in a journal can help you identify what frequencies and types of sessions resonate with you the most. This simple step not only provides insight into what works best, but also builds a connection between your conscious mind and these auditory explorations. What shifts do you notice in your mental state? Do you find clarity or relaxation? These observations could guide your future sessions. Breathing patterns that support deep state entry. Have you ever noticed how your breath changes when you feel calm, focused, or even when your mind drifts to a different place? Breathing is more than just the simple act of taking air in and out. It can actually serve as a doorway to states of consciousness that feel deep, clear, and centered. When our breath slows and deepens, it nudges the body and brain away from the usual chatter and into a very particular mode, one where awareness sharpens but relaxes at the same time. This balance is sometimes called Focus 21, a zone where intuition, insight, and presence mix in a way that transforms ordinary moments into something richer. From a scientific standpoint, breathing patterns can influence brainwaves. When we breathe deeply and slowly, the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, lowering heart rate and calming the body. This switch is like flipping a mental dimmer, reducing the overstimulated beta waves and inviting the gentler alpha, theta, or even delta waves to come forward. Those slower rhythms are often linked to meditation, creativity, and the early stages of sleep, but here, they happen while you remain alert. You enter a subtle threshold, a liminal place where external distractions fade and inner experience expands. It's a natural rhythm we can learn to tune into, using breath as both anchor and key. What's fascinating is the way certain breathing patterns map onto this shift. For example, slow, even breaths that count to 4 on the inhale and 6 on the exhale tend to deepen relaxation. Pausing slightly between breaths can create a gentle suspense that quiets the mind's need to rush. Some ancient traditions teach breath retention as a way to sharpen focus, and modern research agrees that controlled breath holding can stimulate vagal tone, which further calms the nervous system. Yet, breath is also deeply personal. What works for one person might feel different for another. It invites curiosity rather than strict rules. Have you ever tried just noticing your breathing without changing it? That simplest act can open the door to something new, often when you least expect it. It's like holding a conversation with yourself through the rhythm of air. If you're interested in gently guiding yourself toward this focused state, try this. Start by sitting comfortably and allow your spine to be straight but relaxed. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Begin to breathe in through your nose slowly for a count of 4. Feel the air fill your lungs as if you're inviting calm into your body. Then exhale just a bit longer, for a count of 6, imagining any tension leaving your body along with your breath. Between breaths, hold for just a moment, say a count of 2, without forcing it, just a soft pause. Keep this rhythm steady, like a gentle wave flowing in and out. Don't judge how you feel or try to force your mind to settle. Simply be curious about the sensations in your body and the flow of your breath. This simple exercise encourages a shift away from distraction and toward a quiet alertness. It's like dipping your toes into a calm pond rather than jumping in. Over several minutes, you may notice a subtle lightness or quietness in your mind. Thoughts might still come and go, but they feel less urgent, less sticky. Your senses might feel sharper, or your awareness might expand just beyond your body. Don't be surprised if you feel a sense of openness or even a hint of curiosity about where this state could lead. The breath, in this case, isn't just air moving in and out. It's a guide pulling you gently inward, toward a place that blends relaxation with focused presence. If your mind wanders during this practice, that's perfectly fine. Bring your attention back to the breath, following it without frustration or effort. The beauty of this pattern lies in its simplicity. No fancy techniques, just a natural rhythm that invites you into a deeper state. As you get comfortable, you might experiment with changing the lengths of your inhales or exhales. Maybe try equal counts or extend the pause between breaths. Notice what feels easeful and which variations draw you further into that quiet space. The breath doesn't just calm your body, it teaches patience, attention, and a kind of gentle surrender that sets the stage for deeper exploration. What happens next is both a mystery and an invitation. With each breath, you lean a little more into the subtle currents beneath everyday awareness. You open a small door that leads into a moment of stillness where insight can arise. So the next time you're feeling restless or distracted, breathe with intention. Notice how the breath can shape your experience and create room for something fresh. It's one of the simplest tools we carry with us, waiting to be remembered and trusted. Sensory withdrawal and mental anchoring. Imagine sitting quietly in a cozy corner, closing your eyes, and feeling the world around you fade away. That moment of turning down the volume on your senses can seem simple, but it holds profound potential. When you temporarily shut out external sights, sounds, and even touch, you create a space where your mind can soften its chatter and tune into a quieter rhythm. This kind of sensory withdrawal acts like pressing pause on the constant stream of input from outside, opening a gateway into a sharper, more centered state of awareness. Have you ever noticed how your thoughts quiet down in a dark, silent room? It's as if your mind needs that unoccupied moment to settle into clarity. This practice isn't about escaping life, but about giving your brain a chance to reset, to find its natural rhythm without distraction. Science supports this idea in fascinating ways. When senses are diminished or momentarily turned away from, the brain shifts from high alert to a calmer wave pattern. Brain waves such as alpha and theta become more prominent, which are associated with relaxed focus and even heightened intuition. This state can feel like floating just beneath the surface of ordinary awareness, like a gentle tide pulling you inward. Take, for example, the experience of closing your eyes during meditation or shutting out noise with headphones. Your mind begins to sift through the clutter and tap into a quieter, more stable core. This reduction in sensory input doesn't make your mind sleepy. It helps it settle into a space where concentration and insight become smoother and more accessible. In that space, subtle thoughts and intuitive nudges tend to surface more clearly. By intentionally withdrawing from sensory overload, whether by closing your eyes, reducing noise, or even limiting touch, you allow a different kind of focus to emerge. It's like clearing a foggy window so you can see through more distinctly. You might notice an increased sense of calm, sharper perception, and even a feeling of almost hearing your inner voice more clearly. This isn't just a trick, it's a natural response of the brain when it's given the chance to withdraw from constant stimuli. You could spend just a few minutes tuning out the world and notice how your mental terrain becomes a little clearer each time. It's as if the mind is a muscle that gets stronger when it's allowed to rest from the barrage of external noise and sights. And in those moments of silence, your inner rhythm begins to surface more vividly. Now, once you've experienced that quiet pocket of mind, the next step is learning to hold on to it. Mental anchoring is like planting a little emotional or physical flag that reminds your mind to stay rooted in focus. It's a simple technique, but one that can keep you grounded during the most chaotic moments. Using your breath is perhaps the most direct method. Taking slow, intentional inhales and exhales can serve as a steady anchor to bring your attention back whenever it drifts. Imagine your breath as the anchor's rope, gently tugging you back into calm whenever your mind starts to wander. It's surprising how quickly this can reset your mental state, especially when you start to recognize the cues that your focus is slipping. Another anchor is imagery. Visualizing a peaceful scene, like a calm lake or a quiet forest, can help your mind settle into a stable place. When your thoughts scatter, bringing your attention to this image can create a soft, steady point of focus. Similarly, physical postures or gestures, such as placing your hand on your heart or sitting with a straight spine, act as bodily cues that reinforce a sense of stability. These postures serve as signals to your brain that it's time to switch into a more focused, alert mode. For example, a simple gesture like touching your thumb and forefinger together can become a mental cue. Over time, these small physical and mental practices pair together to reinforce your ability to stay present and centered, even when the external world becomes hectic. Practicing mental anchoring doesn't require elaborate rituals. It can be as straightforward as taking a deep breath and silently repeating a word or phrase, visualizing a personal symbol, or adjusting your posture consciously. The key is consistency. Using the same anchor repeatedly helps your brain associate that cue with a calm, focused state. Like training a pet, your mind begins to recognize that particular gesture or thought as a signal to stay grounded. Over days or weeks, small anchors become powerful tools, guiding you gently back into focus whenever distractions threaten to pull you away. The more you use these anchors, the more their calming effect builds, making it easier to access that quiet inner space amid daily noise. In practice, it helps to pick one or two anchors that feel natural and easy to remember. For instance, you might use your breath as your primary anchor, and a physical touch, like pressing your fingertips together, as a secondary one. When you notice your mind racing or your attention drifting, gently bring your focus back to your anchor. Think of it as a steady island you can return to whenever the storm of thought surges. As your mastery grows, these anchors become like mental flags, ready to guide you back to a calm, focused spot no matter what chaos unfolds around you. Combining sensory withdrawal with mental anchors creates a powerful cycle. Quiet the external world, and have a reliable mental tool to hold onto that peace when it's most needed. Step-by-step guided induction framework. Consider a moment in your life when you became completely absorbed in what you were doing, a time when everything just clicked. Perhaps it was during a quiet afternoon with a book that grabbed your attention, or while you were creating something, fully focused and lost in the task. It's in these moments that we can access deeper ways of thinking and being. What if you could learn to enter that state of focus on command? What if there were a way to tap into that zone more consistently? This chapter is built around guiding you to experience Focus 21, a state where your mind operates with clarity and creativity. Transitioning into that mental space isn't merely about emptying your thoughts or practicing mindfulness in a traditional sense. It's a combination of engaging your mind's natural abilities and finding a rhythm that feels right for you. The process I'm going to share is straightforward, blending insights from psychology with a touch of experimental wisdom. The first step is to become aware. Take a moment to notice how you currently feel. Are there distractions? Maybe you feel the weight of the day pressing down on you. Just acknowledge these sensations without judgment. Some people find it helpful to close their eyes and take a few deep breaths, allowing everything else to fade into the background for just a moment. This simple act opens a pathway, a transition point between the chaotic whirlwind of daily thoughts and the serene pool of focus. The next part is where it gets truly interesting. Picture a serene setting in your mind. It could be a quiet beach, a lush forest, or even a cozy room filled with light. Use your imagination to craft this space as vividly as possible. Notice the colors, the sounds, the smells. There's something incredibly powerful about visualization. Neuroscience shows that imagining an experience can activate similar areas in the brain as actually experiencing it. So, as you create this imagined environment, you're inviting your brain to relax into it as well. Focus your attention on this scene, perhaps picturing yourself engaging in work or creativity in this perfect spot. Allow the shape of the task ahead to take form in this space. With every breath, feel the tension melt away, opening up your mind to new possibilities. The goal here is to blend mental clarity with a relaxed state, inching closer to Focus 21. Once you've established your serene setting, there's a final step in this guided induction. Start to introduce simple affirmations or thoughts that align with your intention. You might say to yourself, "I am focused," or "I am ready to create." Repeating these phrases can help solidify your intent as you sink into this focused state. Pay attention to how your thoughts shift. You might notice that distracting feelings or worries begin to dissolve, replaced by a sense of empowerment and clarity. Remember, consistency is key here. The more you practice this, the more intuitive the process becomes. As you finish this exercise, take a moment to reflect on how shifting your mental space has impacted your mood and focus. There's no right or wrong way to approach this. It's all about finding what resonates for you and allows you to step into that state of creativity and productivity. The power of Focus 21 is within you, and by practicing this technique regularly, you can enhance your ability to access it whenever needed. Try this process at different times, perhaps in the morning to jumpstart your day or in the evening as a way to wind down and reflect. Keep exploring how these techniques feel in your body and mind, approaching this journey with kindness and curiosity. Chapter 5. What it feels like. The shift, physical, mental, and emotional markers of Focus 21. Have you ever experienced a moment when your body suddenly feels more grounded, as if a gentle wave of calm washes over you and your senses seem to open just a little wider? That shift, subtle but unmistakable, might be the doorway to what some call Focus 21. It's not a dramatic event but rather a quiet unfolding, an expansion in how you perceive the world around you. Breathing slows naturally, tension in muscles softens, and there's this curious sense of presence that fills the space where scattered thoughts used to linger. You might notice your vision slightly sharpens, colors appearing richer, or sounds becoming clearer, almost as if the environment itself has tuned up its volume. The body feels lighter, but with a deepening rootedness, like standing barefoot on cool earth after walking on hot pavement. This physical shift is often the first signal, gently nudging you into a space where focus broadens and deepens without effort. Alongside these physical sensations, changes unfold within your mind. Clarity begins to emerge, not as an intense mental rush, but as a quiet settling of the inner landscape. Thoughts that once darted around start to align, forming a calm and ordered stream. It feels like the mental chatter dims, giving space for a broader awareness. In this state, the boundaries of self seem to soften and blend with the surroundings, creating a sense of unity or flow. Emotions, too, tend to shift. Anxiety or restlessness often dissolve into a gentle steadiness. Some describe this as a wave of compassion or warmth radiating inward and outward, connecting them to something beyond ordinary experience. Neuroscience hints at this through changes in brainwave patterns. Alpha and theta waves rise, promoting relaxation and heightened awareness without drowsiness. Yet, no scientific chart can fully capture the poetry of that moment when your heart senses a quiet harmony you can't quite explain. What if you could invite this state more often? One small yet powerful way is to tune into your breathing. For a moment, close your eyes and simply notice the rhythm of your inhale and exhale. Without changing it, observe how your body feels, the lightness or weight in your limbs, the expansion in your chest. Allow your gaze to soften when you open your eyes, letting the edges blur just a little. This simple practice can awaken the subtle markers of Focus 21, that gentle opening of your senses and the deepening calm that signals a shift. It's not about forcing focus, but about welcoming the natural movement toward it when you pause and listen closely. Now that you've glimpsed these markers, what do they invite you to notice next? The body asleep, mind awake paradox. One night, I woke up suddenly. It was quiet, but I felt strangely alert. My body was completely still, yet I was wide awake inside. It was as if my mind had already stepped out of my body, wandering in a space that felt both familiar and foreign. That moment stayed with me. How could my body be so still, so disconnected, and yet my mind refused to fall back asleep? It sparked a deep curiosity about what's really happening in those strange states where consciousness seems to drift beyond physical limits. The paradox of body asleep, mind awake is more than just a curious experience. It's a doorway into understanding what happens in our brains when we're caught between sleep and wakefulness. Neuroscientists describe this state as a kind of limbo, where parts of the brain switch off for rest, but others remain active, spinning ideas or images that float free of the body's commands. At the same time, mystics have long spoken of these moments as gateways to deeper awareness, times when our usual boundaries dissolve and consciousness extends beyond what we experience in waking life. The mystery is simple yet profound. How can it be that the body is deeply asleep, physically frozen in stillness, while the mind stays vibrant, sometimes even hyper-aware? Research shows that during these states, the brain displays unique patterns of activity. Brainwave recordings often reveal a shift from the normal waking beta waves to slower theta and delta waves associated with sleep. Yet, strangely, some areas remain alert, especially the parts linked to awareness, such as the prefrontal cortex. This creates a situation where the brain is partly in sleep mode, partly in wakefulness. It's like being caught between two worlds, neither fully dreaming nor fully awake. For many, this state produces vivid hallucinations, strange sensations, or even feelings of floating or time distortion. These experiences highlight a core truth. Consciousness isn't strictly tied to physical activity or body movement, but can exist in different layers of awareness, some of which bypass the usual boundaries of our physical selves. This paradox invites us to question what it truly means to be awake, and whether consciousness is merely a product of brain activity or something more elusive and layered. Common phenomena, vibrations, colors, inner sound, expansive space. Have you ever felt that strange tingle when listening to music? Those vibrations seem to resonate not just in the air but deep within you. It's like a gentle reminder that we are all connected through energy. Such sensations can occur in moments of altered consciousness, where ordinary boundaries fade and experiences become more vivid. Colors might take on new dimensions, swirling in ways that make you question what you see. This isn't just a figment of your imagination. It's a real phenomenon tied to how our brains process sensory information during heightened states. In these moments, many people report flashes of intricate colors that shift and change, becoming almost alive as they play tricks on our perception. Then there's the curiosity of inner sounds. What if, in the quietest moments of your mind, you started to hear the hum of existence itself? This can be startling but profoundly soothing. Our brains generate various frequencies, producing low deep tones or high-pitched whistles that can evoke a sense of connection to something greater. Neuroscience shows that during meditation or trance states, specific brainwaves can synchronize with these inner sounds, deepening our awareness. If you've ever been drawn to a particular sound or rhythm, consider how that resonates with your emotional state. Each experience tied to sound can reflect something deeper about who you are and your journey. The feeling of expansive space adds another layer to this exploration. Imagine standing on a mountaintop or gazing at a starry sky, feeling as if the universe is pulling you into a hug. In altered states, this sensation can amplify, allowing us to feel as if we're part of a much larger tapestry. Studies indicate that the brain's perception of space can alter significantly under specific conditions, such as meditation, psychedelics, or deep relaxation. Our understanding of self can stretch and blend with outer experiences, making us question where we end and the universe begins. Engaging with these feelings isn't merely an abstract exercise. It can transform how we connect with the world around us. Reflect on your sensations and observations. Have you ever experienced vibrant colors when closing your eyes? Or felt your body resonate with a sound you couldn't quite place? Engaging with these phenomena can reveal hidden layers of consciousness. One practice to enhance this is to dedicate time to observe your environment with fresh eyes. Sit quietly and focus on the sounds around you. Allow your senses to roam. Notice the vibrations beneath your feet, the colors around you, or even the chaotic hum of the world. Through this, you may discover insights about your own inner landscape. Next time you encounter these phenomena, let yourself explore. Allow those vibrations, colors, and sounds to envelop you without judgment or desire to control. What new layers of awareness might they unveil? As you continue this journey, you might find there's much more to the world and yourself than initially meets the eye. Story: the moment I realized I wasn't in the room anymore. There was a moment when the edges of the room around me seemed to blur, and suddenly, I wasn't confined by the walls and the hum of fluorescent lights anymore. It felt like stepping through a hidden door that had been right there the whole time, but I'd never noticed it until that split second. The air shifted, sound softened, and I became strangely detached, not physically removed, but mentally and emotionally somewhere else entirely. It was as if the space I occupied had quietly dissolved, taking with it all the familiar details. I was both there and not there, standing silent witness to everything without being pulled into the everyday drama of the scene. It's a strange feeling, almost like the moment someone switches a camera lens to a different focus, suddenly revealing something unseen before. Have you ever felt something like this, where time stretches or compresses, and your sense of place melts away? That's a glimpse into a state our brain can slip into, one that breaks the usual bounds of physical reality. In that moment, the usual narrative we tell ourselves about where we are also changes. This experience doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's connected to subtle shifts happening in the brain's networks, where typical sensory input becomes less dominant and internal awareness grows stronger. It's like tapping into a side channel of consciousness, one that carries a hint of dream but is fully awake. The sensation can be disorienting, but also strangely freeing, as if a quiet part of you has stepped forward to observe life from a new angle. Scientists studying brainwaves have found that these shifts often align with changes in the rhythms of the brain's electrical activity. When alpha waves increase or theta waves emerge, our perception of the external world changes, allowing for moments of vivid imagination, deep reflection, or even out-of-body sensations. These states reflect a loosening of the usual grip our senses have over us, showing how flexible our experience of being here actually is. What if the feeling of not being in the room anymore points to hidden pathways in the mind, waiting to be discovered with curiosity and care? That moment opened a door to questions that don't have easy answers but are worth wondering about. How much of our reality is shaped by where our attention lands? If the room can fade away in an instant, what does that say about the boundaries between inner and outer worlds? Moments like this invite us to peek behind the curtain, to sense the fluidity beneath the solid surfaces of everyday life. Yes, it sounds a little out there. Stay with me. It's the kind of awareness that writers, meditators, and explorers of consciousness often talk about, sometimes with science, sometimes with poetry. To get a small taste of this experience, try this. Find a quiet spot and close your eyes. Focus on your breath, watching each inhale and exhale as it moves through you. Imagine the walls around you slowly fading while you remain calm and steady. Notice any changes in how your body feels or how your mind shifts. You don't need to force anything, just observe. This simple practice can help you notice how easy it is for your sense of where you are to soften and shift, revealing the space between moments. What might you discover there? Now that you've touched the edge, let's step further in. Chapter 6: The Expanded Perception Zone. Time slips, minutes feeling like hours, and vice versa. Have you ever had a moment where 5 minutes stretched endlessly, feeling more like an hour, or yet found yourself caught in a moment that seemed to vanish in the blink of an eye? I recall a meditation session where I lost track of time completely. Minutes seemed to crawl by, each second stretching out like a heavy droplet of water, only for the session to end, and suddenly, hours seemed to have slipped by. It was as if time itself had become malleable, a strange, beautiful sensation that left me pondering whether our perception of time is just a trick played by the mind. This experience isn't unique. Many people notice how their feeling of time can shift dramatically based on how they're experiencing life, whether immersed in a flow state, anxious, or caught in a moment of deep wonder. Sometimes, when we're engaged in something highly absorbing, an hour can pass in what feels like minutes. Other times, boredom or pain might make a single moment stretch endlessly, turning seconds into hours of mental discomfort. These feelings reveal how fluid time truly is and how much it depends on our consciousness and focus. Science offers some clues about what might be happening behind these strange perceptions. Our brains process time through networks in the prefrontal cortex and the basal ganglia, parts involved in attention and anticipation. When we're deeply immersed, special brainwave patterns called gamma waves often dominate, leading to a heightened sense of presence, making time seem to slow down or expand. Conversely, in states of boredom or low attention, our perception of time can slow to a crawl, as if the brain has nothing new to record and thus forces us to measure every tiny moment in laborious detail. In contrast, during moments of excitement or rushing, the brain tends to flood with adrenaline and dopamine, giving us the sensation that time is flying by. There's also a poetic way to think of these shifts. When time feels slow, it's as if our internal clock is stretching, allowing us to feel every detail more vividly. In moments where hours slip by unnoticed, it's as if the clock has hurried ahead, skipping over the usual markers of time. These sensations often happen in altered states, during meditation, lucid dreaming, or moments of intense focus. They remind us that time isn't fixed but a construct of perception, woven into the fabric of consciousness itself. To get a taste of this awareness, try a simple practice. Set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and simply observe your sense of time passing. Don't check the clock. Instead, focus on your breathing, your sensations, or your thoughts. Notice how, at times, it might feel like the minutes are dragging or racing. By tuning into these shifts, you begin to see how adaptable your perception of time really is. No more absolute, no more fixed, just a dance of consciousness moving through different states. Heightened empathy and intuitive downloads. Heightened empathy allows us to tune into subtle energies, revealing the unspoken stories of those around us. Have you ever found yourself in a crowded room, feeling a wave of emotions that didn't seem to belong to you? That's the magic of empathy at work. It's as if you hold a mirror to someone else's feelings, catching a glimpse of their struggles, joys, and even fears. This connection can stretch beyond words, reaching into the deeper layers of our human experience. As we cultivate our empathic abilities, we start to see life through a different lens. Our perception expands, and we begin noticing shifts in energy and tone that often escape ordinary attention. Maybe you encounter a friend who seems off-kilter, despite their smile. Those subtle signals can be what guides us to offer support or understanding in ways we never imagined. Empathy is not just about kindness, it's also about tuning into the world's nuances, creating a shared resonance that reflects our collective humanity. What if we leaned into this heightened sensitivity and allowed it to guide our interactions? We could reshape our connections by responding to deeper needs rather than surface-level exchanges. This isn't just theoretical. There are powerful stories of individuals who have leaned into their empathic skills. They've rebuilt bridges in relationships, facilitated healing conversations, and even created communities founded on understanding and compassion. Each instance reminds us that there's so much more beneath the surface. Intuitive downloads may feel almost like whispers from our subconscious. Picture this: you're sitting in a quiet space, your mind wandering, when suddenly, a burst of clarity strikes you like a bolt of lightning. It's a reminder that your brain is always processing in ways we don't fully grasp. Scientific studies suggest that our brains operate on multiple levels, often accessing knowledge and insight that we might not consciously acknowledge. To trust these signals, try creating moments of stillness in your day. Spend a few minutes focusing on your breath, letting thoughts come and go like clouds. In this quietude, you might be surprised by insights that rise to the surface. It's about learning to listen, to yourself, to your emotions, and to the world around you. Each intuitive download can feel like a small gem, waiting to be unearthed, illuminating your path as you navigate life's complexities. Reflect on the last time you received an intuitive nudge. How did it guide you? As you continue to foster both empathy and intuition in your life, consider keeping a journal. Write down these moments of insight, recognizing patterns over time. You may find these small glimpses provide not just guidance but also affirmation of your unique journey and the wisdom within. Vivid mental imagery and symbolic landscapes. Have you ever closed your eyes and suddenly found yourself walking through a lush forest, feeling the crunch of leaves beneath your feet, or standing on a quiet hill watching the sun melt into the horizon? These moments come from vivid mental imagery, a powerful experience where your mind paints pictures with such detail that they almost feel real. This inner cinema acts as a doorway, inviting us into symbolic landscapes, places born not from geography but from the depths of our imagination and memory. These mental scenes can carry layers of meaning, reflecting our emotions, desires, and fears, often in ways that words alone cannot capture. Through vivid imagery, we are not just seeing, we are sensing entire worlds formed from symbols, emotion, and memory, a private theater that can reveal parts of ourselves hidden beneath everyday awareness. When we imagine, the brain lights up in regions linked to vision, emotion, and memory, as if it were actually looking at the scene before us. What's fascinating is how these mental pictures can trigger sensations, moods, and even bodily reactions similar to those caused by real experiences. Think about a time when remembering the warmth of the sun lifted your spirits, or picturing a winding river calmed your mind. These symbolic landscapes hold a language of their own, communicating beyond the limits of spoken language, weaving feelings and meaning into a secret map of the self. They invite us to explore, interpret, and connect with our inner world, offering insights that often remain out of reach during ordinary waking life. Sometimes these images come unbidden, like dreams while awake, but with practice, we can invite them intentionally. Vivid mental imagery isn't just daydreaming, it can serve as a bridge to understanding our deeper emotions and intuition. The images that arise carry symbols, much like the metaphors in poetry or art, subtly pointing us toward truths locked inside us. The forest might represent growth, the river a journey, the mountain a challenge. These symbolic landscapes shape our emotional terrain and help us navigate complex feelings that might be hard to express otherwise. They become a language where color, light, shape, and movement weave meaning, inviting a conversation between the conscious mind and the mysteries beneath. Scientists have discovered that when we create mental images, the brain behaves much like it does when processing actual visuals. Areas such as the visual cortex become active during vivid imagination, showing a blur between what is real outside and what is real inside. This explains why a powerful mental picture can feel so immersive and affect our emotions deeply. Studies also reveal that engaging with mental imagery recruits networks involved in memory and emotion, adding layers of significance. This gives us a hint about why symbolic landscapes feel so alive. They are intertwined with parts of the brain that tell stories about who we are and what we care about. Have you ever noticed how some memories or images suddenly feel more vivid after moments of stillness or quiet focus? Mindful visualization practices can help deepen this effect by gently guiding attention inward, making mental imagery more detailed and emotionally resonant. By slowing down and tuning into the sensory qualities of an imagined scene, its textures, sounds, smells, we expand our inner perception, almost like stepping through an unseen door into a richer mental world. This practice not only sharpens creativity but also enhances emotional awareness and resilience. Rather than rushing through our thoughts, mindful visualization invites us to linger, explore, and engage with these symbolic terrains with curiosity and patience. Personal stories of navigating these inner landscapes often speak of moments when mental imagery shifts from passive watching to active journeying. Someone might describe seeing a symbolic door within their mind's eye and choosing to open it, discovering a garden or a vast empty plain. In these spaces, feelings that had been tangled or hard to name begin to clarify like sunlight breaking through clouds. The mind's eye becomes a compass and a sanctuary, a place to test ideas, process challenges, or simply rest. These symbolic journeys can bring comfort or challenge, but always offer a chance to connect with a deeper part of oneself through the vivid experience of inner vision. Try this. Close your eyes and picture a small place that feels welcoming. It could be a room, a quiet beach, or a tree-lined path. Notice the colors, the shapes around you, the temperature, and any sounds you imagine. Stay with this image for a moment, seeing if it reveals a feeling or a small message. This simple practice can open a door to your own symbolic landscape, inviting you to come back whenever you want a moment of clarity or calm. What might your inner world be showing you right now? The first encounters with the edge of self. I remember the moment vividly, the quiet sting of realization as I sensed a boundary dissolving just enough to glimpse something beyond. It was as if the familiar shape of myself was gently slipping away, revealing an expansive space where thoughts and feelings mingled differently. That fragile line between who I thought I was and what I might become softened for a split second. It's strange to think that beneath our everyday selves lies this thin, invisible barrier that, if nudged just right, reveals a larger horizon inside. This chapter explores how those early moments of touching the edge of self spark curiosity and gradually lead us into the vast unknown inside our minds. When we've never experienced this boundary before, it can feel both unsettling and oddly soothing. Some might notice a shift in perception, colors seem more vibrant, sounds clearer, or thoughts fade into a distant hum. It's like standing at the shoreline, feeling the pull of water but not yet stepping in fully. That initial encounter is brief but powerful, leaving us with questions that seem to hover just beyond comprehension. What if those fleeting experiences aren't accidents but invitations? Our brains are wired to seek patterns, to search for meaning, especially when confronted with the unfamiliar. When the edge is brushed, it's often a moment of quiet upheaval where the usual routines of thought and identity momentarily pause. Neuroscience shows that during these touches, the brain's default mode network, our internal narrator, calms down, allowing other parts of the mind to peek through. It's as if the mind whispers, "There's more to see," but we're often too distracted to notice fully. Still, those moments leave behind subtle impressions, like footprints on a beach, evidence that something larger might be accessible if only we pay attention. Thinking back, those early glimpses often come when we're least expecting them, during meditation, deep silence, or even moments of intense emotion. They usually aren't loud or obvious, but instead feel like whispers, soft hints that there's more beyond the known self. Some may have experienced rushing thoughts slow down, a sudden sense of detachment, or a feeling of floating slightly above their body. These are clues that the mind is operating on a different frequency, one where the edges of self become semi-transparent. Recognizing these cracks in the usual story of ourselves is the first step in understanding how far this space might go. One practical way to explore this edge gently is by taking a moment each day to sit quietly and notice what's happening inside. Instead of trying to chase after a specific feeling or experience, just observe the sensations, thoughts, and images that come and go. Notice if, even briefly, your sense of a fixed self feels a little less rigid. That small act of observation can open a tiny window to what lies just beyond your usual sense of identity. These moments won't probably last long, but their ripples can linger, hinting at the depths waiting to be uncovered. The first step isn't about reaching a specific state, but simply becoming aware of the fleeting edges as they brush past. Chapter 7: Exploration Beyond the Physical. Remote Viewing and Non-Local Awareness. One chilly evening, I sat quietly in my living room, enveloped in dim light. The room was silent, yet my mind buzzed with images and thoughts. Suddenly, an image of an old friend popped into my head, a vivid snapshot of them laughing, a memory from years gone by. I hadn't spoken to them in ages. Within moments, my phone buzzed. It was a message from that friend, asking how I was. It struck me as too strange to be mere coincidence. Was there something connecting us beyond time and space? This experience hinted at a greater awareness, one that didn't seem bound by the physical limits of our everyday lives. As I pondered this episode, I felt a gentle tug of curiosity about non-local consciousness, an awareness that transcends the conventional boundaries we often take for granted. Remote viewing is a fascinating concept. It refers to the ability to perceive or gather information about a distant or unseen target without the usual senses. Think of it as seeing through a window into another place, one that isn't right in front of you. This idea has roots in both science and mysticism, giving it a unique duality. Studies conducted by organizations like Stanford Research Institute in the 1970s aimed to understand this phenomenon. They explored whether humans could tap into information outside their physical location. Some experiments showed promising results, suggesting that the mind might break the confines of the spatial and temporal reality we know. Now, you might wonder how to tap into this yourself. Start by finding a quiet space where you can relax. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Allow your mind to drift freely. As thoughts arise, instead of chasing them away, observe them. This practice can help you become attuned to subtle perceptions that might otherwise go unnoticed. With patience and practice, you may gradually begin to sense more than what meets the eye. It is a journey of discovery, and like any exploration, it requires openness and curiosity. As you consider these possibilities, remember that this quest doesn't need to challenge your rational mind but can instead enhance your sense of awareness. Consider journaling your experiences as you navigate this unexplored territory. Write down any intuitive hits or feelings that arise. It might surprise you how many moments resonate once they are written down. This simple act can cultivate the awareness needed to embark on this fascinating journey into non-local consciousness, sensing people, places, and events at a distance. One late evening, miles away from my sister, I suddenly felt a wave of sadness washing over me. It wasn't just a passing thought, it was deep, like a quiet heaviness pressing on my chest. I found myself wondering if she was going through something difficult, even though we hadn't spoken all day. When I finally called, she told me she'd just received some troubling news. That moment made me pause. How is it that I could feel her pain without any physical cues? It felt like our connection stretched beyond the limits of space, as if emotions traveled silently between us, unseen but undeniably present. Have you ever had a similar experience where you just knew what someone was feeling, even when they were far away? Maybe it was a gut feeling or a sudden image that flashed through your mind. These moments challenge the way we usually think about distance and connection. It's almost like our consciousness isn't confined to our bodies, but can reach out, touching people, places, and even events happening elsewhere. That idea can seem strange, but it invites a curiosity worth following. Scientists have been quietly studying how the brain might pick up signals beyond the usual senses. Some research points to the brain's electrical patterns, brainwaves, as possible carriers of subtle information. When two people are close, their brainwaves sometimes sync up, a phenomenon called brainwave entrainment. But what if that syncing could happen even when they're apart? Studies have hinted at this possibility, showing that strong emotional bonds might create an invisible thread between minds. This doesn't mean there's a Wi-Fi signal between hearts, but it opens the door to a different kind of communication. On the other hand, the world of intuition offers another layer to this mystery. Intuition isn't just a gut feeling, it's a form of subconscious knowledge gathering. Our brains are constantly soaking in details, some too subtle for our conscious mind to notice. This hidden data might come from tiny shifts in energy, scent, or even electromagnetic fields. When we tap into intuition, we're accessing a mix of past experiences, quick pattern recognition, and possibly something less easily explained. It walks the line between science and what we might call the mysterious. Psychologists and neuroscientists often approach these experiences with cautious curiosity. They acknowledge that while some sensations can be explained by brain activity, others hover just out of reach of clear analysis. For instance, the phenomenon known as empathic resonance shows how feeling what another person feels can happen without direct contact. This may be linked to mirror neurons in our brains, which fire both when we perform an action and when we see someone else perform the same action. Could these neurons also play a role in sensing emotions over a distance? The jury is still out, but it's a fascinating idea to consider. One simple exercise to explore this connection is to focus your attention on someone you care about when you're apart. Find a quiet moment, close your eyes, and try to picture them clearly. Notice any feelings that arise. Don't judge or push for answers, just observe. Sometimes, a thought, image, or feeling will come through without explanation. Keeping a journal of these moments can help you see patterns over time. This practice invites patience and openness, gently expanding your awareness of how your consciousness might reach beyond the immediate space around you. Next time you feel a sudden wave of emotion linked to someone far away, try to sit with it and reflect. Instead of brushing it off as coincidence, allow yourself to be curious. What if your mind and heart are more connected than you realized? By paying attention and practicing this simple presence, you might begin to notice a subtle web of connection threading through your everyday interactions, even when distance keeps you apart. The blurred line between imagination and perception. Have you ever noticed how vivid a dream can feel, only to wake up and realize it was just a creation of your mind? Sometimes, our thoughts and images seem so real that they almost blur into our experience of the world. This isn't just daydreaming, it's a fascinating dance where what we imagine influences what we see and feel, often without us realizing it. Scientists have shown that when we imagine something, similar areas of our brain activate as if we're actually experiencing it. This suggests that the boundary between imagining and perceiving is more fragile than we might think, constantly shifting in response to our internal and external worlds. Our minds are constantly constructing a version of reality, shaped by both what our senses tell us and the stories we tell ourselves. For example, if you're in a dark room and hear a faint noise, your brain might interpret it as footsteps, even when it's just the house settling. Our perception isn't a passive reflection of the outside world but an active process, filling in gaps based on past experiences, expectations, and even mood. Sometimes, our imagination can fill in what's missing so convincingly that we believe it to be real, like mistaking a simple shadow for a creature lurking in the dark. It's a reminder that our sense of what is real is often a seamless blend of perception and invention. Neuroscience shows that similar pathways in the brain are involved in both imagining and perceiving. When you recall a favorite place or imagine a loved one, areas in your visual cortex light up almost as strongly as if you were viewing an actual scene. This overlap makes sense because both processes require the brain to generate internal images. Yet, this overlap is what makes it so tricky to distinguish between what we see and what we imagine. Sometimes, our expectations create a kind of mental haze, blurring the edges of reality. For instance, in moments of heightened emotion or stress, perception shifts. What once seemed clear becomes clouded by imagination or thought, making the two nearly indistinguishable. Recognizing this overlap can be a first step toward understanding our own mind's fluid boundaries. One way to notice this blurred line is to pay attention to how often your mind fills in gaps or makes assumptions during everyday life. For example, have you ever looked at a cloud and instantly saw a creature or face in its shape? That's your imagination working alongside perception. Or, think about how a song can suddenly evoke a vivid memory. Your brain is blending auditory perception with a flood of associated images or feelings. Such moments show how easily the two worlds, imagination and perception, intertwine, shaping what we believe is real. This awareness can be powerful. It invites curiosity about how your mind constructs experience and hints that perception is often a creative act itself. Thinking about this interplay, one simple exercise might help you notice the difference for yourself. When you see something ambiguous, like a flicker of movement or a faint outline, pause. Ask yourself, what is my mind filling in right now? Are these images based on sensory input, or are they a product of my imagination? By questioning these moments, you slowly begin to see how perception and imagination overlap, sometimes working in harmony, other times competing. This practice can make you more aware of your inner life and deepen your understanding that reality isn't always a fixed thing. It's a constantly shifting dance between what we perceive and what we imagine. Ultimately, understanding this blurry boundary offers a richer view of how our minds work. It encourages us to see our perceptions not as pristine data streams but as creative stories shaped by countless subtle influences. When we realize how easily imagination can influence perception, it can make us more cautious of jumping to conclusions or trusting our first impressions. Instead, we learn to sit with uncertainty, acknowledging that what feels real might be partly constructed, partly perceived. This awareness doesn't diminish reality. It deepens our appreciation for its layered, fluid nature. Sometimes, simply recognizing that distinction can free us from the need to pin everything down as absolute truth. To start noticing this in your own life, try focusing on a simple moment, perhaps watching people passing by or observing the clouds. When your mind begins to fill in details, maybe imagining someone's thoughts or creating stories about strangers, pause for a moment. Question whether this is based on direct perception or the product of your imagination. Doing this regularly can help you become more aware of how your mind shapes your experience, and over time, you may find yourself more comfortable with the uncertainty and fluidity of your inner and outer worlds. After all, the boundaries we set between imagination and perception might be less fixed than they appear, offering endless space for curiosity, wonder, and a little bit of mystery. Ethical considerations for exploration. When we think about exploring, it's easy to imagine physical journeys into new territories, like hiking through a dense forest or diving into the ocean's depths. But what about exploration of the mind? What if every time we step into the unknown, be it physically or mentally, we carry a responsibility? This sense of duty is woven into the fabric of exploration, demanding that we approach new experiences with reverence and respect. Each choice we make can ripple out, affecting not just our lives but the environment and people around us. Have you ever noticed that when you care for a space you're in, like picking up trash on a hike, it feels different? That mutual regard for a space enhances every moment spent in it. In our quest to expand our horizons, the potential impact of our actions can sometimes fade from our minds. Engaging with unfamiliar cultures, ideas, or practices can lead to profound insights. But what happens when our curiosity overshadows respect? We risk appropriation, misunderstanding, or even harm. When journeying into these uncharted territories, it's important to pause and ask, how might my presence here affect this place or its people? What legacies are we carving? Reflection can bring clarity. Approaching exploration with a mindset of humility encourages meaningful encounters, fostering connections that transcend mere observation. Mindfulness is a powerful companion on this journey. Taking a moment before plunging into new experiences can ground our intentions. Picture this: before joining a local ritual in a foreign community, take time to learn about its significance. This step shows respect and prepares you for a richer experience. Similarly, personal reflection can be enlightening. Consider writing in a journal about your feelings and thoughts before and after an exploration. What did you learn about yourself and the world around you? How did these experiences influence your beliefs? Another principle to embrace is active listening. In conversations, especially across cultures, give your full attention. What stories are yearning to be shared? Sometimes, the most profound insights come not from speaking but from truly hearing another's narrative. And self-awareness plays a pivotal role. Check in with your motives. Are you seeking to connect or to conquer? Recognizing this could shift your perspective dramatically. Try practicing gratitude. When you return from an exploration, take a moment to express appreciation for the experiences you had, the people you met, and the lessons learned. This can foster a cycle of respect and acknowledgement that enriches future explorations. As we navigate both external landscapes and the landscapes of our minds, let's carry a sense of responsibility. Each step we take should be filled with awareness and intention. What if every exploration was not just about our discoveries, but also about how we contribute positively to the world? This gentle approach, steeped in respect and self-reflection, will not only enhance our journeys but also foster stronger connections and understanding with all we encounter. Chapter 8: Creative and Problem-Solving Powers. Why Focus 21 Unlocks Original Thought. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the most creative ideas come not when you're actively trying to force them, but during moments when your mind is freer, like just before sleep or while daydreaming? Focus 21 is one of those mental states that feels like standing at a new vantage point inside your own mind. It's a state where the usual chatter quiets down, and something deeper begins to surface. Imagine the familiar world of thoughts you swim through every day suddenly peeling back layers to reveal new channels of insight, new ways of seeing problems that before seemed locked tight. This state is not about losing focus, but shifting it in subtle, profound ways. When your brain settles into Focus 21, the boundaries between left brain logic and right brain creativity start to blur. Suddenly, you're no longer stuck thinking in patterns you've always known. Fresh perspectives arrive naturally, like a gift from an inner room you rarely enter. Instead of a linear march from point A to B, your mind dances around, pulling threads from memory, emotion, and intuition to weave solutions you hadn't considered. Many who've spent time reaching Focus 21 describe it as a mental playground where curiosity thrives and the usual limitations melt away. This state opens doors to original thought because it relaxes the brain's control circuits that often censor or dampen odd or unexpected ideas. It's as if your mind lowers the walls it usually holds up to protect you from wrong thoughts and lets you play with strange, new possibilities. The shift is a gentle invitation to tap into wells of creativity often hidden beneath everyday awareness. Science is beginning to catch up with what many people have experienced intuitively for centuries. Altered states like Focus 21 engage the brain in unique ways. Research shows that in these states, there's a change in brainwave activity, with an increase in alpha and theta waves, frequencies known to be linked to creativity, relaxed focus, and vivid imagination. Parts of the brain responsible for rigid self-criticism quiet down, while areas involved in free association and big-picture thinking come alive. This shift allows the mind to explore connections that seem hidden or too complex during normal waking consciousness. Personal stories often bring these findings to life. One person might share how they suddenly saw a solution to a long-standing problem during meditation, while another finds that a quiet walk or moments spent in nature help them enter Focus 21 and return with fresh inspiration. These anecdotes align with what the science suggests. Crossing this mental threshold encourages us to hold a degree of trust in the unknown. It means allowing space for ideas before evaluating or judging them. The mystery isn't a void to fear, but a fertile ground for original thought to grow. Trying this for yourself doesn't require special equipment or decades of training. A simple practice could be to find a quiet place and focus on a single object or sound, allowing the mind to settle into that edge between wakefulness and drifting. Notice how thoughts come and go without grabbing at them, and see what new insights arise when you hold this state for even a few minutes. You might find that ideas begin to arrive unbidden, surprising you with their freshness and clarity. This gentle crossing into Focus 21 is like stepping off a well-worn path and discovering a new trail waiting to be explored. Using altered states for breakthroughs in art, science, and business. Have you ever heard of Van Gogh painting with such intensity that the lines seem to pulse with emotion? Or read about scientists who claim insights came during moments of daydreaming or light trance? These stories aren't just stories, they reveal how shifting our consciousness can open doors to new ideas and solutions. Artists, inventors, and entrepreneurs often find their brightest moments when they step outside ordinary awareness. It's as if these states strip away mental clutter, giving room for fresh perspectives to surface. What if the key to breakthroughs isn't just hard work, but also tuning into subtle, altered parts of our mind? People have long understood that certain mental states can boost creativity and problem-solving. For centuries, artists have used meditation, dreams, or even substances to spark inspiration. In science labs, moments of daydreaming or light trance seem to act like mental highways to big discoveries. The brain naturally shifts into different wave states, slow delta states during deep sleep, or the relaxed alpha waves associated with calm focus. When you're in a relaxed, slightly dreamy state, your mind becomes more open to connections that wouldn't emerge during constant logical thinking. Experiments show that people often solve problems more easily when they relax and let their minds wander, rather than forcing focus. So how can you tap into these states yourself? One simple approach is to create a quiet, comfortable environment where your mind can drift naturally. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and allow your attention to soften. Imagine gentle waves washing over your thoughts. Notice what ideas or images come up without judgment. The key is observing your experience, not trying to force a particular outcome. You might find that solutions appear more clearly or inspiration strikes as your brain shifts into a lighter state. Keeping a notebook nearby helps capture moments of insight that flow when your mind is less rigid. It's a gentle, approachable way to access the same mental shift that many creators and problem solvers have relied on for ages. By tuning into these subtle states, you can unlock a wellspring of creativity and clarity often hidden in plain sight. Remember, it's not about escaping your mind but gently steering it into a space where new ideas can emerge naturally. As you practice observing your inner experience, you might notice that creativity feels more like a gentle breeze than a bolt from the blue. The beauty is that these states are accessible anytime, anywhere, no special gear needed, just a curious and relaxed attitude. Want to see where your mind might take you when you let go for a moment? Try setting aside 5 minutes today to simply sit quietly, breathe, and watch what comes up. Next, I'll share one simple practice to get you started on experiencing these states more consciously. It's an easy place to begin, but its effects can ripple through your work and thinking in surprising ways. Ready to explore the edge of your awareness? Find a comfortable spot, turn off distractions, and give yourself a few quiet minutes. Your mind's next big breakthrough might just be waiting there. Case studies. Innovators who tapped into deep states. Have you ever noticed how some of the world's most creative minds seem to tap into something deeper? Think of Salvador Dali, who often claimed that his most stunning artworks emerged from a dreamlike state. He would set up a canvas before a siesta, allowing the boundary between sleep and wakefulness to blur, pulling ideas from his subconscious. Then there's Albert Einstein, who famously visualized his theories through thought experiments and imagined riding a beam of light. These moments of clarity often came when his mind was relaxed, suggesting that a calm state can foster brilliant insights. What if accessing this deep mental state could lead to similar breakthroughs for us all? The stories of innovators abound with hints of altered states of awareness, where creativity ignites in unexpected ways. Think of the pivotal moment when Steve Jobs combined a sense of intuition with Zen practices, transforming technology and design. His time spent in meditation allowed him to approach problem-solving from an unorthodox angle, leading to products that would change our lives. These visionaries didn't just chase inspiration, they entered mental spaces where innovative ideas could flow freely. Anecdotes like these highlight how exploring our consciousness can be much more than a mere conversation. It's about unlocking personal creativity and pioneering thought. As we look deeper into the stories of these trailblazers, clear patterns emerge. They often cultivated environments that fostered flow states, those rare moments when everything clicks. For instance, many of these creators practiced mindfulness or meditation, helping them tune into their inner voices. When their minds settled, new avenues of thought opened, allowing them to tackle complex problems with fresh perspectives. This isn't just anecdotal. Research into brainwaves shows that states like relaxed alertness can prompt more creative thinking. What if you could try entering a state of flow in your everyday life? A simple practice is to spend 10 minutes each day engaged in a mind-clearing activity. Whether it's a short walk, a few minutes of meditation, or even doodling, these acts can strip away the noise of daily life and help you tune into your own thoughts. By giving yourself permission to be vulnerable and open to the unexpected, you might just stumble upon your next great idea. The pathways to creativity are waiting for you to discover them. The method of receiving answers without conscious strain. There was a time when I was stuck on a problem that seemed unsolvable. I kept wrestling with it, pushing harder, trying to force a solution through sheer will. One afternoon, feeling frustrated, I stepped away and let my mind drift to something else entirely, watching the clouds shift in the sky. Suddenly, without warning, the answer came to me, clear and simple. It felt as if the solution had been waiting quietly beneath the surface, just out of reach until I stopped reaching. That simple pause, this gentle shift of focus, opened a space where answers flowed naturally, without effort or strain. It was a moment that changed how I approached problems ever since. Sometimes, the best way to find something is to stop searching. What if our conscious mind, the part that tries so hard to solve problems, is actually blocking us more than helping? Research in psychology and neuroscience shows that when we desperately try to control every thought, our brain's problem-solving ability can lock up. The executive functions that manage deliberate thinking consume a lot of energy, and when overtaxed, they limit creativity. On the other hand, the subconscious mind, working silently behind the scenes, often pieces together ideas in the background, especially when we're relaxed or distracted. This is why stepping back and letting go feels like releasing tension and shifting gears. It's less about forcing intensity and more about opening the door for subtle insights to drift in. Brainwave studies reveal that moments of insight often correspond with shifts from beta waves, associated with active thinking, to alpha waves, linked to relaxed awareness. In that calm state, neurons seem to connect more freely, mixing information from different parts of the brain. You might have noticed how some of your best ideas come just before sleep or during a quiet walk. It's as if the mind, freed from conscious effort, dances effortlessly with new patterns, stitching together answers that felt impossible to reach when you were caught in a mental wrestling match. Yes, this sounds a little out there, but stay with me. It's a subtle dance, part science, part mystery. One simple way to practice this is to gently shift your attention when stuck on a problem. Instead of staring harder, try stepping away. You might close your eyes and focus on your breath, watch a candle's flicker, or notice the sensations of your feet on the ground. This isn't about zoning out entirely, but softening the spotlight your conscious mind shines. When you relax the grip on effortful control, your subconscious can quietly swim up with fresh ideas. The next time a question nags at you, give yourself permission to take a break from active thinking. Trust that the answer can find you, and watch how your perspective shifts when you least expect it. Have you ever had the experience of a sudden aha moment, seemingly from nowhere? These flashes are reminders that sometimes the best answers come when we stop pushing and start receiving. What might happen if you treated your questions like seeds planted in a calm pond, allowing the ripples of your mind to naturally carry the solution ashore? Chapter 9: Healing and Emotional Integration. Emotional release in altered states. Have you ever experienced a moment where everything around you seemed to slow down or shift, perhaps during meditation, a deep daydream, or a powerful song? These moments are examples of altered states of consciousness, where the mind steps into a different mode of being. They feel like glimpses into something deeper, sometimes mysterious, sometimes terrifying, often beautiful. It's in these open, weightless spaces that emotions often surface more freely. When the usual mental filters relax, feelings that might have been buried or ignored suddenly rise to the surface, waiting to be released. From a scientific point of view, these states are linked to changes in brain activity. When we enter deep relaxation, our brainwaves slow from active beta waves into slower alpha and even theta waves. These waves resemble what we find in meditation, light trance, or even just before sleep. When the brain shifts into these slower states, it seems to work differently, more open, less guarded. This openness creates a cushion for emotional truths to surface without the usual defenses that keep them hidden. Neuroscience suggests that in these states, the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, becomes more accessible, inviting old hurts and feelings out of hiding. Much of mystic tradition points to the idea that altered states are portals for healing. In those timeless moments, emotions, whether joy, grief, or regret, can flow freely, unfiltered by the ego's need to control or suppress. It's as if the mind is tuning into a deeper frequency, one that resonates with unresolved feelings. Personal stories abound of people experiencing intense emotional releases during fasting, ritual drumming, or psychedelic journeys. These stories highlight how stepping into these distinct states can be like unlocking a hidden part of oneself, allowing old pain or joy to surface and be acknowledged. When combined with a gentle trust that these feelings are part of the natural flow, these moments become opportunities for genuine healing. One way to begin working with altered states for emotional release is to create a calm, inviting space for yourself. Find a quiet moment, settle into a comfortable position, and focus on your breath. Let your breathing slow naturally, noticing the in and out without trying to control it. As you relax, ask yourself, what's here that needs to be seen? Stay curious, not judgmental. Sometimes feelings come up suddenly, tears, laughter, or even coldness. Instead of pushing them away, welcome them as messengers from your inner world. Remind yourself that whatever arises is part of your natural process, deserving of compassion and patience. After a few minutes, you might notice your mind drifting into a more relaxed or even dreamlike state. In this space, emotions often become more accessible. You could visualize a safe place, like a garden or a cozy room, where you feel completely at home. Imagine emotions as gentle waves washing over you, sometimes calm, sometimes rough, but always transient. When feelings emerge, resist the urge to judge or analyze. Instead, simply observe, allowing the emotion to move through your body without resistance. This practice helps you learn to accept what surfaces, turning each emotional wave into a chance for understanding and release. A simple way to deepen this process is to set aside special moments for mini emotional dives. Perhaps after listening to music that stirs your heart or during a moment of stillness, check in with your feelings. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to right now? Sometimes just naming the emotion, anger, sorrow, contentment, can lighten its hold. By approaching these states with curiosity and kindness, you foster a sense of safety. Over time, this gentle inquiry turns into a natural way of allowing emotions to flow freely, reducing their power to trap or overwhelm you. Self-guided imagery for trauma processing. Self-guided imagery provides a comforting way to access emotions that we often tuck away deep inside ourselves. Have you ever found yourself in a moment of quiet, only for old memories to bubble up, leaving you feeling unsettled? It's natural to want to push those feelings aside, but what if those emotions hold the keys to healing? This practice invites us to gently engage with our internal landscapes, bridging the gap between pain and relief. Imagery isn't just a way to paint pictures in our minds. It can serve as a therapeutic tool that enables us to confront our past in a safe manner. The idea is simple but profound. By gently guiding our thoughts, we can navigate through traumatic experiences at our own pace. This method allows us to approach emotional wounds without the pressure of traditional psychotherapy, making it accessible for many who may hesitate to share their stories with others. Now, let's dive a bit deeper. Imagine you're in a serene place, somewhere that feels safe and comforting. This could be a secluded beach, a tranquil forest, or even a cozy corner of your home. Allow yourself to picture every detail, the colors around you, the sounds in the air, and the smells that wrap around you like a warm blanket. In this space, you are free and unburdened. In this exercise, I invite you to bring to mind an emotion connected to a past experience, one that feels significant yet manageable. As you visualize your safe space, take a deep breath and acknowledge the emotion without judgment. What does it look like? Does it have a shape or texture? By personifying this emotion, you begin a dialogue with it. You might say, "I see you. What do you need?" Allow your mind to respond with images or thoughts that arise. This is your chance to listen. Throughout this exercise, keep your focus on your breath. Each inhale can bring calm, while each exhale can release tension. You might find that, as you engage in this visualization, memories shift and transform, revealing layers you hadn't realized were there. Emotions may start to integrate and settle, paving the way for deeper healing. With practice, this type of imagery can become a trusted companion during difficult times, offering a path towards understanding and acceptance. This gentle practice of self-guided imagery is not just a technique, it's a way to cultivate a nurturing environment for those hard-to-reach feelings. When navigating your emotional landscape, take it slow. Each session will unveil something new, and over time, you'll likely find that the messages from your emotions become clearer and easier to understand. As you continue this journey, consider keeping a journal to remember what you discover along the way. This can anchor your reflections and track your progress as you embrace the depths of your emotional world. Energetic balancing and resetting the nervous system. Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly, only to realize your heart is pounding and your thoughts won't settle down? Maybe you've just experienced a hectic day, or perhaps a small trigger sent your body into a state of alert without warning. This feeling isn't unusual. Our nervous system can get stuck in patterns that keep us tense and overwhelmed, long after the original stressor has passed. Often, we don't even notice how tightly wound we are until exhaustion or a sudden snap breaks through. This hidden tension is like static noise in the background of our lives, subtle but persistent. Imagine your nervous system as a finely tuned instrument, designed to respond quickly to danger but also to recover and find calm. When that system keeps buzzing with signals of stress, it's similar to an electrical circuit that won't stop sparking. Stress hormones flood through your body, your breathing shortens, muscles stay tight, and your mind races. Over time, this constant activation can make it harder to relax or feel safe, trapping you in a cycle without a clear way out. Sometimes the cause is obvious, a difficult event or a sudden shock, but often, the triggers are small and accumulate quietly. The result is a heavy weight on your energy and mood, even when everything on the surface seems fine. What's tricky is that this state isn't just mental, it's deeply physical. Your nervous system is working overtime, but your body doesn't always get the chance to discharge that built-up energy. Instead, it lingers, like a buzzing current under your skin. You might notice unexplained irritability, trouble sleeping, or a sense of being disconnected from your own feelings. These signs tell a story about your nervous system's need to find balance again. Recognizing this is the first step toward helping yourself shift out of that space, back into a place of ease. What if you could gently guide your nervous system out of that stuck place? Energetic balancing offers an approach to do just that, using simple, natural methods to help your body and mind sink back into harmony. It's a process of listening deeply to how energy moves in you and creating space for release. This isn't about forcing calm or pushing away feelings. It's about inviting your system to reset at its own pace, like letting a wave recede after it crashes on the shore. In recent years, scientists studying the nervous system have noticed how much subtle shifts in breath, posture, and attention shape our state of being. These findings resonate with ancient practices that speak of energy centers, or chakras, as pathways where emotions are stored and expressed. Both modern neuroscience and mystic traditions point toward the body's innate ability to heal when we offer mindful awareness and gentle care. By engaging with your breath and body sensations, you can start to release held tension and regulate stress responses. For example, slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for rest and repair, helping to calm the mind and relax muscles. Another simple way to reset involves tuning into where you feel tightness or discomfort. Rather than pushing these feelings away, you can visualize sending warmth or light to those areas, encouraging softening and flow. This kind of inner attention shifts the nervous system's baseline from hyperalertness to a more grounded, peaceful state. Sometimes, just the act of gently rocking or swaying your body can signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax. These movements might seem small or insignificant, but they carry potent messages to your brain and body. Over time, such practices can help break the cycle of stress and create a foundation for emotional healing that lasts. Here's a small exercise to try right now. Sit comfortably and close your eyes if that feels good. Take a slow breath in, feeling your chest and belly expand. As you breathe out, imagine any tightness in your body gently melting away like ice under warm sunlight. Repeat this cycle 3 or 4 times, allowing each exhale to bring a little more ease. Notice if your heartbeat shifts, if your shoulders drop, or if a softening happens somewhere unexpected. This simple practice moves energy, inviting your nervous system to find a quieter rhythm again, even if only for a moment. Yes, it sounds simple, and that's part of the magic. Small pauses like this can ripple out, making space for healing that words can't always capture. What does your nervous system need to feel seen and soothed today? Could a moment of gentle awareness be the key to finding your way back to balance? Now that you've touched the edge, let's step further in and discover more ways to listen to this remarkable system that carries you through life. Story: how a single session dissolved years of inner tension. Have you ever felt like a weight had been pressing down on your chest for years, but somehow, just one moment of genuine release made everything easier? I once witnessed a woman named Lisa, who carried around a quiet ache for nearly a decade. She'd buried it deep, thinking she just needed to be stronger or move on. That day, during a single session, something shifted. The tension she didn't even realize she was holding melted away as if it had never been there, like a dam breaking after years of quietly holding back a flood. That moment was almost miraculous, and it changed her life not because of a magic trick, but because it revealed what many of us ignore: the power of one intentional, honest release. This moment of liberation is rooted in something deeper than just emotional release. It's about how our brains and hearts can hold onto unresolved feelings, like tiny, stubborn knots that stay tangled long after the initial pain or fear. Over time, these knots can grow, creating a sense of heaviness in our bodies and minds. We often carry these unresolved emotions as silent baggage, sometimes unaware of how much they shape our daily mood, choices, and even our physical health. When a single session of focused emotional work happens, it's like pulling the thread that starts unraveling a tightly wound knot. Suddenly, the tension loosens, and a feeling of lightness emerges, often catching us by surprise. And here's the curious part: our mind and body seem to coordinate in a way that makes this possible, blending science and a touch of mystery to show that healing is more natural than we think. Neuroscience reveals that when we experience emotional stress, certain patterns form in our brain like circles on a pond disturbed by a pebble. These patterns get reinforced each time we ignore or suppress feelings, creating a kind of mental and emotional rut. But when we consciously work through those feelings, whether through talking, breathing, or other practices, our brains can forge new pathways. This process is called neuroplasticity, and it's why a single powerful session can make such a lasting difference. It's like rewiring a circuit to bypass a short circuit. As we allow ourselves to feel and express buried emotions, our nervous system shifts. Moments of vulnerability, like crying or deep breathing, can signal to the brain that it is safe to let go. This isn't magic, it's biology meeting intention. Still, the mystery remains: how does one session unlock a lifetime of tension? Perhaps because, Beneath the surface, our minds and hearts are more connected than we often realize, waiting for us to give them the permission and space to heal. Imagine a storm passing through the sky, clearing away the dark clouds that held everything in gloom. That's what happens when we allow ourselves a single moment of true emotional honesty. Sometimes, all it takes is a simple question or a moment of conscious awareness, like recognizing a buried hurt or fear, to trigger an entire cascade of healing. Once that internal barrier is broken, the body responds almost immediately. Muscles soften, breath deepens, and a sense of peace unfolds. Many who have experienced this report feeling lighter, freer, as if the weight of years simply vanished. The process isn't always easy. It can feel vulnerable or uncomfortable at first. But with patience and presence, that discomfort can turn into liberation. That's why creating a safe space, a guided environment or trusting connection, can be the key to unlocking this kind of profound transformation with a single session. Here's something practical. Try asking yourself a simple question when you notice tension building. What is this feeling really about? Sometimes, just naming what's inside can begin to loosen its grip. Pair that with a slow, intentional breath and give yourself permission to fully feel the emotion without judgment. This small act can create enough space for the tension to ease, even if just a little. Often, releasing years of accumulated heaviness begins with acknowledging it honestly, not pushing it away. Sometimes, a single moment of bravery, admitting how you truly feel, can dissolve the invisible chains that have held you hostage. Remember, healing is often about giving yourself that one clear, honest moment, one session, where everything shifts and suddenly, the mountain just feels a little smaller. Chapter 10: Meeting Guides, Symbols, and Archetypes. How the subconscious communicates in deep states. Have you ever had a dream that felt so real it lingered with you the next day? That strange imagery, like a blue elephant riding a bicycle, could leave you puzzled, yet intrigued. These vivid pictures are more than just random thoughts. They are the language of your subconscious mind, which often speaks in symbols and archetypes. In deep states of relaxation or altered consciousness, such as during meditation or hypnosis, this part of the mind becomes more present. Science tells us that during these states, your brain waves shift, moving from the busy beta state to the calmer alpha and theta waves, where creativity and deeper awareness flourish. This is where the magic begins, where insights can emerge through symbols that may resonate differently with each of us. One time, while meditating, I found myself in a lush, vibrant forest. Tall trees surrounded me, their leaves shimmering as if kissed by sunlight. I was drawn deeper into this serene space when an owl appeared, its wise eyes watching me. This symbol felt oddly significant. In various cultures, an owl represents wisdom and intuition. Reflecting on that experience helped me realize that our subconscious often communicates using symbols that contain layers of meaning. When we encounter archetypes, universal symbols like the hero, the mother, or the wise old man, we tap into a collective human experience. A study in cognitive psychology suggests that these symbols resonate because they echo shared narratives we've inherited. Thus, when we access these symbols, we touch upon deeper truths within ourselves. Now, how can we start to recognize these messages? One accessible practice involves keeping a dream journal. Each morning, right after waking, jot down anything you remember from your dreams, even if the details seem trivial. Don't filter or overthink it. Let the content flow freely onto the page. After a week or two, revisit your entries. Look for patterns or recurring symbols that catch your eye. What do they evoke for you? What feelings arise? This simple act creates an opportunity for your subconscious to express itself without the noise of conscious thought interrupting its whispers. Another approach is to carve out moments of quiet in your day, maybe while brewing your morning coffee or sitting in a park. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Picture a scene that makes you feel safe and relaxed. When you're in this calm state, invite any images or feelings to surface. What comes up may surprise you. Embrace the flow, letting your subconscious take the lead. Once you've tapped into this, ask yourself questions about what you saw or felt and write down any insights that arise. These gentle explorations can initiate a deeper dialogue with your subconscious, allowing you to understand its hidden messages a little better. Reflect on this. What if each symbol holds a key to understanding who you are beneath the surface? As you engage in these practices, remember that meaning is often personal. The symbol of a snake might frighten one person while inspiring another with thoughts of transformation. Be patient with your journey. Your subconscious is always speaking to you, waiting for you to listen. Now, as you touch this edge of self-discovery, let's step further in to uncover even more of the messages within. The role of archetypes in personal evolution. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt like they reminded you of a story, a character, or even a feeling you couldn't quite name? That's the power of archetypes, universal symbols that swim beneath the surface of our consciousness, quietly shaping how we see ourselves and the world. Think of archetypes like ancient patterns etched deep into the human psyche, passed down through generations as part of our shared experience. They aren't just stories from old myths or fairy tales. They live inside us, influencing the way we think, react, and grow. These symbols show up as roles we play, the hero on a quest, the wise mentor, the playful trickster, and they help form the narrative threads of our personal stories. When we pay attention to these inner figures, we start to notice how they color our identity. For example, you might find yourself drawn to the rebel archetype when you want to break free from expectations, or the caregiver comes forward when you're nurturing someone else's needs. Each archetype carries its own energy and lessons, shaping the themes of our life story. Psychologists like Carl Jung pointed to archetypes as fundamental structures in the human mind, explaining that these patterns aren't just cultural, they're psychological blueprints. They exist deep in our collective unconscious, influencing emotions and behaviors even when we aren't aware. Recognizing these figures within us can help make sense of why we act the way we do and give us clues about what chapters of our lives are still waiting to unfold. What if you could begin to see your life as a series of encounters with these archetypal forces? That perspective shifts the way you relate to change and challenge. Instead of feeling stuck or confused, you might notice that you are stepping into the role of the seeker, driven by curiosity to uncover new paths. Or perhaps the shadow archetype surfaces, a darker, hidden part of yourself demanding attention. These archetypes are like guides on a map, each signaling a different stage of growth or transformation. Our personal evolution often mirrors the journey patterns found in myths: departure, trial, return. When we recognize these patterns inside ourselves, our identity shifts from being a fixed thing to a living story, constantly weaving itself into new shapes. Engaging with archetypes can speed up growth by offering a language for the inner shifts that feel confusing or overwhelming. When life feels like it's pressing us to change, tapping into an archetype can provide clarity and direction. For instance, if someone is in a phase of uncertainty, calling on the sage archetype's wisdom might bring calm and perspective. Neuroscience shows that storytelling and symbolic thinking activate parts of the brain involved in understanding meaning and empathy. This isn't just poetic. It's a survival toolkit wired into our minds to help us navigate complexity. By working with archetypes, you're effectively speaking to your brain in a way that opens new neural pathways, making transformation easier and more natural. Have you noticed how rituals often involve mythic characters or symbols? That's because they engage archetypes to help the mind and body align with change. When you identify with a particular archetype, you can lean on its strengths during tough moments, allowing you to move through transitions with greater ease. Archetypes also help you reframe setbacks. What looks like failure might be the trickster urging you to see things differently, or the warrior insisting you keep fighting with courage. This inner conversation encourages resilience and self-awareness, creating a space where personal growth feels less like a struggle and more like a dance with the parts of ourselves we're still learning to understand. Here's a simple way to engage with your archetypes. Spend a few minutes each day sitting quietly and ask, which part of me wants to be heard right now? Notice the first image, character, or feeling that comes to mind without judgment. Journal about what this figure wants or needs and how it might be influencing your thoughts or actions. Over time, this practice can increase your inner dialogue, bringing unconscious patterns to light and helping you steer your life story with intention rather than habit. The more you build this connection, the more your personal evolution becomes a conscious journey, guided by the rich archetypal wisdom encoded within your own psyche. What if the story of your growth is waiting for you in the shadows of your mind? Maybe the archetypes around you aren't just relics of old tales, but keys to unlocking new chapters within your own narrative. Decoding recurring imagery and messages. Think back to the last time a dream kept repeating itself, perhaps a shadowy figure appearing, or a symbol like a key or a door showing up again and again. These recurring images aren't coincidental. They act as whispers from our inner world, nudging us to pay attention. Our subconscious tends to use familiar symbols and messages because they carry layers of meaning that go beyond words. When these images show up repeatedly, they are often trying to tell us something important, messages that might be easy to miss if we're not looking closely. Recognizing these patterns becomes essential for understanding what our inner guides are urging us to explore or resolve. Often, these symbols appear in dreams and intuitive flashes, serving as bridges to deeper parts of ourselves. Neuroscience shows that our brains process these images in the same regions active during vivid visual memories and imagination. This means that recurring imagery is not just random. It's a language our mind uses to communicate with itself. For example, someone might keep dreaming of water to signal emotional cleansing, or see a clock pointing to a specific time that feels significant. When we notice these patterns, it's like catching a whisper from a friend trying to get our attention. Paying close attention to what keeps recurring helps us decode the messages hiding inside those familiar images. To start understanding what these messages might mean, consider keeping a journal of your dreams and intuitive insights. Write down the images that keep showing up and any feelings or thoughts associated with them. Notice if certain symbols or themes appear during specific moods or situations in your life. This can reveal connections between what's happening outside and what your subconscious is trying to process internally. Over time, patterns will emerge, like the recurring presence of a key indicating a door that's ready to open, or a storm symbolizing emotional upheaval. Recognizing these patterns is like collecting clues that reveal your inner story, clues that, once understood, can guide you toward growth and clarity. Sometimes, it helps to think of these images as icons in a spiritual language, archetypes with layered meanings. For instance, a lion might represent strength or courage, while a mountain can symbolize challenge or achievement. Noticing when these symbols appear, especially if they show up repeatedly, can point you toward themes worth exploring. Trust your feelings about these images. Your intuition is a valuable decoder. Reflect on what these symbols evoke inside you. Do they bring comfort, fear, curiosity? The more you tune into your emotional responses, the clearer their messages become. By approaching recurring imagery with curiosity and patience, you gradually learn to interpret their messages as direct signals from your deeper self, guiding your decisions and growth. If you want to take a simple step forward, try assigning your own personal meaning to common symbols. For example, if you keep seeing a key, think about what unlocking something might represent in your life right now. Is there a barrier you need to overcome or a new opportunity waiting behind a door? Keep track of these insights, and over time, you'll strengthen your ability to read your inner messages. Remember, your subconscious speaks in symbols and images because words may not fully capture what's going on beneath the surface. The key is to listen carefully, notice patterns, and allow your instincts to guide you towards understanding what these recurring signs are telling you about your inner world. Knowing the difference between insight and mental noise. Have you ever sat in a quiet room, hoping for clarity about a tough decision, only to find your mind racing with thoughts that seem maddeningly irrelevant? This experience is pretty common. Many of us often confuse a moment of enlightenment with the incessant chatter of our minds, which can cloud our true understanding. Our brains, with all their fascinating complexity, often generate a whirlwind of thoughts, memories, worries, and distractions, a phenomenon I like to call mental noise. To illustrate the difference, consider this. Insight feels like a calm, gentle whisper emerging from the chaos. This whisper has clarity and purpose, guiding us toward what we truly want or need. On the other hand, mental noise is like a disjointed radio station. It comes through loud and chaotic, filled with static and competing frequencies. Sometimes, it feels like our brain is a crowded marketplace, with every booth shouting for our attention while the true gem, a clear idea or insight, gets drowned out. Science shows that certain brainwave states, like alpha waves, are linked to insight, while the chaotic noise often corresponds to more frenetic activity, such as beta waves. So, how can we tune into that subtle voice of clarity amid the mental static? One practice I found incredibly useful is mindfulness. By simply sitting quietly and focusing on your breath, you can create a little space. In that space, you might notice that the thoughts swirling around lose their intensity. Instead of trying to push them away, allow them to come and go, like clouds drifting in the sky. You may discover, in the stillness, a clearer path toward your insight. Another approach is asking yourself questions that provoke curiosity. What if you shifted your perspective on a problem? What new angles emerge when you wonder about possible solutions instead of ruminating on issues? Keeping a journal of these questions can help you track insights over time. You may be surprised at how often your mind uncovers wisdom when you're not in a pressured thinking mode. As you practice honing your attention, embrace the mystery of your own mind. There's a certain beauty in uncertainty, in not always knowing what's coming next. Give yourself permission to wander through your thoughts, appreciating the landscape of your mind without rushing to conclusions. This journey often reveals unexpected connections and possibilities, enriching your experience. The key is to stay curious, remaining open to both the noise and the insights that ripple through it. Remember, insight often comes when we least expect it, so cultivate a habit of gentle observation. Your next step could involve setting aside a few minutes each day to reflect quietly. Witness your thoughts without judgment, and listen for that subtle whisper of insight among the noise. Consider keeping a specific notebook for recording those moments when clarity appears, however fleeting. This practice might not only help distinguish between insight and mental noise but gradually transform the way you engage with your own thought processes. Chapter 11. Returning to the physical. Why grounding is crucial after deep exploration. Have you ever felt like after an intense moment of reflection or a deep internal journey, your mind is soaring somewhere far beyond your body, while your feet barely touch the ground? That drifting sensation can be both thrilling and unsettling. When we plunge into the depths of our thoughts or consciousness, whether through meditation, intense emotional work, or spiritual experiences, we often lose touch with the physical sensations that remind us we're here, now, in the tangible world. It's as if part of us escapes into another dimension, and the link to our everyday reality becomes fragile. The human mind and body are deeply connected, but this connection can become frayed after intense inward journeys. Neuroscience tells us that during deep states of inner exploration, certain brainwaves, like theta waves, dominate, pushing us into a liminal space that feels almost dreamlike. This shift is often accompanied by reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking and self-awareness grounded in the physical environment. Without that guiding presence, it's easy to feel scattered or disconnected, floating outside of time or space. When this happens, the sense of safety and balance that comes from feeling steady in your body can weaken. We might even notice a form of anxiety or disorientation creeping in because our nervous system craves a stable anchor. Reconnecting with the body after such experiences isn't just some new age advice, it's a biological necessity. Our body houses the memory and the subtle energies that shape our experience, and when mind and body fall out of sync, it's like receiving a beautiful, if confusing, message with no way to fully decode it. Grounding serves as the bridge that brings meaning and calm back to this message. It helps re-establish a sense of I am here in the present moment. This reconnect ion feels like a gentle hug to your nervous system, reminding it that the journey forward unfolds in a body that's part of the world, not separate from it. Practicing grounding techniques helps anchor the mind back into the body in ways that are surprisingly simple yet deeply effective. Something as basic as feeling the texture of your clothing, planting your feet firmly on the floor, or noticing the rhythm of your breath invites the nervous system to reorient itself. Even small movements like stretching or gently massaging your hands can help shift your brainwaves from the floating, theta-dominant states back to the more alert and balanced alpha and beta waves. This transition allows you to integrate the insights from your internal journeys into your daily life with greater clarity and calm. What if this process of grounding was thought of as a dialogue between your inner explorer and your physical self? Engaging with the earth through barefoot walks, holding natural objects like smooth stones or leaves, or simply feeling the weight of your body in a chair creates a feedback loop. This loop tells your brain, I am safe, and I belong here. Science shows that sensory input from touch and movement helps regulate the autonomic nervous system, bringing balance between the fight-or-flight response and the rest and digest state. This balancing is essential after any experience that stirs up intense emotions or altered states of consciousness. Here's a small practice that you can try right now. Pause and take a slow, deep breath. As you exhale, softly press your feet into the floor, feeling the points of contact. Next, Run your hands along the surface of your desk or your clothing, noticing every little texture. This simple ritual helps your brain switch gears and reconnect with your physical presence. It may seem modest, but it carries the power to ground your entire being, turning your explorations into moments that enrich your life instead of leaving you scattered. Journaling and mapping your experience. Imagine waking up from a vivid dream or emerging from a deep meditation and feeling curious about what just happened. Journaling at this moment can serve as a mirror, capturing the fleeting impressions that often slip away before you even get a chance to think about them. When you write down these experiences, they transform from ephemeral moments into concrete memories you can revisit later. Over time, this practice helps you notice patterns, symbols, or recurring themes that might hold clues about your inner world. It's like creating a personal map of your consciousness, one that links your mystical experiences to your everyday life. Writing about these moments makes them more real and tangible, anchoring surreal insights into your waking reality. Many people find that journaling not only preserves their mystical encounters but also helps them make sense of them. What if those abstract feelings or blueprints of insight could actually be decoded into messages your mind is trying to send? By regularly writing, you start to notice which images, words, or sensations repeat, hinting at deeper truths. This act of reflection can ground abstract, mystic states, like feeling connected to something larger or experiencing a shift in perception, back into clear language. The process turns mystical experiences from mysterious flashes into stories, symbols, or pieces of your personal puzzle. It's as if, through writing, you're building a language to talk to the parts of yourself that often speak in whispers or signals. What if your journal becomes a kind of compass or blueprint, guiding you through altered states and showing you how those moments connect to your everyday life? Each entry is like planting a flag on a map, marking where you've been and hinting at where you might go next. By documenting both the internal sensations and the insights that come with them, you begin to see the shape of your inner landscape. This can make elusive, mystic states feel more accessible, less distant. When you look back, you might notice how those experiences influence your thoughts, feelings, or even your dreams. Journaling becomes a bridge, linking threads of consciousness that often seem disconnected, helping you see the bigger picture forming beneath the surface. One way to make sense of these experiences is by drawing or creating symbols, diagrams, or even doodles alongside your words. Think of it like sketching a landscape of your mind. Sometimes a simple shape or pattern can encapsulate a complex feeling better than words alone. You might draw a river to represent flow or a mountain to signify challenges. This kind of visual mapping can help you access parts of your experience that are harder to put into language, giving you a fuller picture. Another approach is to use lists or clusters of related ideas, which can reveal connections you hadn't noticed before. For example, noticing that certain symbols or emotions pop up together might point to underlying themes or messages emerging from your inner world. Creative mapping doesn't have to be elaborate. Sometimes, just writing a list of key words or images that stood out during a particular experience can serve as a quick reference for future reflection. Over time, these bits of information start to form a personal guidebook, your unique way of understanding where you've been and where you might head next. You can also develop your own symbols or metaphors to describe recurring patterns. For example, if you notice that certain sensations feel like waves or sparks, you can assign those words to specific states or insights. The goal is to create a flexible, visual language that resonates with your inner experiences, making your journey more tangible and easier to navigate. Regularly reviewing your maps and journal entries allows you to see growth, recognize recurring themes, and better understand your internal processes. Think of it as creating a little archive of your inner explorations. Once in a while, flipping through this archive sheds light on how your understanding evolves. Practical tip: set aside quiet time to look back through your journal every month, noting which insights resonated most or which symbols kept appearing. This habit turns spontaneous flashes of insight into a structured, personal guide. Over time, your journal and maps become not just a record but a tool for deepening your connection to your inner world, helping you feel more confident navigating those mysterious, altered states. By blending words with images and symbols, you create a multi-layered map of your experiences. This simple act of mapping turns fragile impressions into sturdy signposts, showing you where you've been and hinting at where to explore next. Your personal guidebook grows richer each time you add to it, gradually forming a mosaic of your consciousness. Remember, it doesn't need to be perfect or artistic, just honest and true to what you feel. The act of mapping fosters an ongoing dialogue between your conscious and subconscious mind, transforming fleeting moments into insights that can guide your everyday life. Keep it playful, keep it curious, and let your map be a space where mystery and clarity dance together. Retaining subtle awareness in everyday life. Every day, we rush from task to task, often missing the beauty of the moment. Have you ever caught yourself lost in thought while drinking your morning coffee? That rich aroma, the warmth of the cup, it's all there, waiting to ground you, yet your mind wanders to what lies ahead. Subtle awareness can change this. By tuning into the details of everyday life, we can cultivate a deeper sense of presence that shifts how we experience the world. Let's look at the simple act of walking. Most of us do it without a second thought. What if, for just a minute, you focused on the sensation of your feet touching the ground? You might notice the coolness of the surface, the rhythm of your steps, or the gentle sway of the trees alongside you. This practice of bringing subtle awareness to walking turns a mundane task into a dance with the world around you. When we anchor ourselves in these small moments, we connect more deeply with our true selves, fostering a sense of calm that can beautifully influence how we respond to life's challenges. So, how do we carry this newfound awareness into our busy days? One effective technique is the practice of mindful breathing. It's as simple as taking a moment to pause and take a few deep breaths. Inhale slowly, allowing your chest and belly to expand fully, then exhale, letting the tension drain away with your breath. This process can act as a reset button, bringing you back to the here and now. You might find that even in the midst of a chaotic meeting, a few intentional breaths can restore your focus and clarity. Another impactful method is to turn routine actions into mini rituals. When you brush your teeth or wash your hands, really focus on the sensations, the sound of the water, the minty freshness of the toothpaste, the way the brush moves. These moments become anchors, giving you access to a peaceful state amid the daily whirl. Even the act of sitting at your desk can be a practice. Before you dive into your work, take a moment to observe your surroundings, notice the colors, and feel the energy of the space. This shifts your mindset from autopilot to a conscious engagement with the present. What if you dedicated just 5 minutes each day to this practice? Could it deepen your connection with yourself and the world around you? The possibilities are endless, and each small step helps to weave subtle awareness into the fabric of your everyday life. Shift your attention to these simple moments of intention, and you might just find a deeper appreciation for what it means to be truly present. Avoiding the spiritual hangover. Have you ever come back from a deep meditation, a visionary dream, or even a euphoric moment during a ceremony, only to find yourself feeling strangely off? That sense of being ungrounded, scattered, or even emotionally drained is more common than you might think. When we encounter altered states of consciousness, those moments when reality feels expanded, time slows, or the boundaries of self blur, we tap into something powerful. These experiences can light us up, fill us with awe, or reveal new perspectives. But when the rush fades, the return to everyday life isn't always easy. It's like waking up from a vivid dream where everything felt magical, then stepping into a room painted in dull colors. Scientifically, these shifts in perception involve changes in brainwaves and neurochemistry. During trance, deep meditation, or intense spiritual practices, our brains often move from high-frequency beta waves, associated with alertness and busy thinking, to slower alpha or even theta waves, which relate to relaxation, creativity, and deep internal focus. The contrast between these states and our usual waking mind can create a sense of imbalance once we reboot. Plus, the flood of neurotransmitters like serotonin or dopamine during these experiences might recede quickly, leaving a temporary low mood or fatigue in their wake. Think of it as an emotional or energetic crash, much like coming down from a sugar high, but more subtle and less talked about. What if this spiritual hangover is really your nervous system trying to recalibrate? The thrill of dissolving ego or glimpsing higher truths is intense, but it can disturb the delicate rhythm your body and mind have settled into. You might feel disconnected from your body, dull in your senses, or even emotionally raw and sensitive. This is especially true if you leap into these states without preparation or don't allow time to reintegrate afterward. The more dramatic the shift, the deeper the adjustment needed to come back gently to your daily rhythm. It's tempting to rush back to the same routine that awaits us after a powerful experience, but this often leaves the uneasy feelings lingering. Instead, a softer approach helps your body and mind find balance again. One way is to reconnect with physical sensations that root you in the present. Feeling your feet on the earth, noticing the temperature of the air, or savoring the texture of something simple, like the warmth of a cup of tea, can reconnect you with your body in a grounding way. These tiny acts anchor you without forcing a quick jump from the extraordinary back to the mundane. Breathing exercises tailored to calm the nervous system also help. Slow, steady breaths, especially those that lengthen the exhale, signal your body to relax and settle. Scientists know that the vagus nerve plays a major role in calming stress responses, and these breathing practices stimulate it. When you slow down your breath, you're gently telling your nervous system it's safe to rest and recover after an intense inner journey. Simple breathing techniques require no special tools, so you can practice them anytime you need to release that floaty feeling. Movement provides another kind of integration. There's something about physical rhythm, like walking slowly outside, stretching, or gentle yoga, that reconnects your body with its sensations and orients your awareness back to the here and now. It stimulates blood flow and balances energy after moments of intense inward focus or emotional release. Movement doesn't need to be strenuous. Often, the gentlest actions create the deepest reconnect ion. What if your body remembers more than your mind after these experiences? Inviting it to move softly lets your whole self find harmony again. Sometimes, the key is allowing space to process the experience without judgment or expectation. Writing down feelings or impressions in a journal can clarify what felt expansive and what felt unsettling. Drawing or creating something simple can also help express what words can't reach. These practices honor the experience rather than pushing it aside, offering a way to digest and gently settle back into daily life without leaving fragments scattered. Integrating doesn't mean making sense of everything right away, but giving your inner world room to breathe and unfold. A practical step to avoid a spiritual hangover is to schedule some downtime after your explorations. Real, intentional pauses that don't involve distractions or demands, but simple presence and self-care. Notice how your energy feels and try not to fill your day immediately with tasks or social obligations. Instead, trust that allowing your system time to rebalance is not a waste but an essential part of growth. Have you ever noticed how a plant needs quiet soil to put down roots after a storm? You are no different. Chapter 12. Focus 21 in Daily Living. Minor practices to touch the threshold during the day. Throughout a busy day, there are small windows of moments where conscious choices can gently nudge us toward a deeper awareness. Imagine catching a fleeting glimpse of something beyond the usual chatter of your mind, just a whisper of stillness or a flicker of curiosity. These tiny shifts don't require long pauses or complicated routines. Instead, they happen when we tune in briefly, like turning a dial just enough to catch a secret melody from a distant room. What if, during those quick pauses, while waiting in line, sipping coffee, or walking to your car, you simply become aware of your breathing or notice the sensations in your body? These simple acts serve as portals that gently invite us to step closer to the edge of conscious awareness. When we acknowledge these moments, even with a small shift in attention, it's as if we're opening a tiny door that leads us into a richer experience of now. Over time, these micro-practices can rewire our perception, making it easier to sense the subtle layers of reality that are always present but often overlooked. One effective way is to set a discreet reminder, like a gentle buzz on your phone, that encourages you to pause briefly and observe. When it sounds, instead of reacting automatically, pause and ask yourself, where is my attention right now? Or what do I notice in this moment? It's a tiny practice, but its power lies in frequency. The more you catch yourself in these little moments, the more natural it becomes to remain softly connected to the underlying current of awareness, even amidst chaos or distraction. Science shows that our brain operates in different wave patterns, from the fast-paced beta waves of active thinking to the slower, more relaxed alpha and theta waves associated with calm and receptivity. These minor moments of conscious awareness can shift your brain into these calmer states, making it easier to access that space where mystery and clarity can blend. Think of it as a gentle ripple in a pond. A small, deliberate act can spread into a larger calm over time, helping you reach that threshold of stillness wherever you are. So, if you want to begin, try this simple exercise. Every hour, take a deliberate breath, and bring your attention into your body. Feel the weight of your feet on the ground, the air filling your lungs, or the sensation of your hands resting. Notice what's happening around you without needing to change anything. Just observe. This quiet moment becomes a bridge, a little doorway into the unseen layers behind your thoughts and feelings. And with repeated practice, touching that edge during the day can become an effortless part of your rhythm, turning everyday moments into chances for opening to something greater. Applying deep state awareness to relationships, creativity, and problem solving. Have you ever noticed how a slight shift in your mood can change the way you interact with others? Imagine walking into a room and sensing that something is off, even before anyone speaks. This awareness, this ability to feel the energy around us, is what I like to call deep state awareness. It's sort of like turning up the volume on your intuition and sharpening your perception. When we cultivate this awareness, our relationships can take on a whole new depth. We start to listen not just to words but also to the pauses, the sighs, and the subtle non-verbal cues that can speak volumes about what someone is really feeling. This isn't just a fluffy concept. We can ground it in science, too. Studies in psychology reveal that humans are astonishingly good at reading micro-expressions, those brief, involuntary facial expressions that can reveal true emotions. When we tune into these signals through deep state awareness, we can respond with empathy, fostering connections that feel more genuine. This is where creativity also comes into play. Tuning into our inner landscape and the world around us sparks fresh ideas, helping us approach problems and relationships differently. When I sit with a feeling of curiosity instead of rushing to a solution, that's when my most creative thoughts pop into my head. Imagine starting each day with a simple practice of mindful presence. What if, before jumping into your daily to-do list, you took just 5 minutes to breathe deeply and check in with yourself? This tiny investment of time can create ripples throughout your day. By grounding yourself first, you open the door to being present with others. You're not just reacting but responding. Whether it's a conversation with a friend or a meeting at work, the extra layer of awareness helps you see beyond the obvious. You might find that an idea you had been struggling with suddenly becomes clear, or that a relationship shifts for the better as you become more attuned to the other person's needs. A practical exercise I found valuable involves setting a daily intention. Each morning, ask yourself what you want to bring into your interactions today. It could be kindness, curiosity, patience, or something else entirely. Then, throughout the day, notice how this intent influences your conversations and decisions. Surprisingly, you might find that the more you focus on your intent, the more effortlessly insights or solutions to problems arise. It's almost like having a little whisper guiding you, leading you toward a kind of wisdom that feels innate, waiting to be tapped. Carry these moments into your interactions, and you may discover yourself in a space of creative problem-solving that feels more natural, less forced. The beauty of practicing deep state awareness lies in its ability to transform not just your conversations but the very fabric of your daily life. As you walk this path, you open doors to deeper connections and fresh perspectives, ultimately enriching your personal journey through every relationship you touch. The two worlds integration mindset. Have you ever found yourself staring out a window, lost in thought, feeling like there is more between what you see and what you sense? There's a kind of invisible layer to our everyday experience, a subtle realm that underpins the reality we walk through. On one side is the tangible world, the smell of coffee, the sound of footsteps, the weight of a book in your hands. This world feels solid and familiar, made up of things you can touch, measure, and name. It's the land of clocks ticking, bills to pay, and plans to make. But just beyond that surface lies another world, one composed of feelings, intuitions, connections, and meanings that stretch across time and space. It's the world where your gut feelings live, where memories blend with imagination, and where unseen patterns shape how you interpret your day. Sometimes it feels like a quiet hum beneath the noise of life, barely noticed until you stop long enough to catch it. Psychologists describe this as the realm of unconscious processing or the background networks of the brain, working in parallel to the conscious mind. Neuroscience shows how brainwaves fluctuate through states of alertness, creativity, and reflection, hinting at this rich inner environment that influences our choices even when we're not aware of it. Both worlds exist simultaneously, yet we often live mostly in the tangible, focusing on tasks, deadlines, and visible outcomes. Yet, each moment is shaped by an interplay, how the subtle world nudges our moods, guides our attention, and colors our perceptions. What if learning to sense and shift between these two realities could bring a different kind of clarity? A way to balance action with insight, doing with being, fact with feeling? This is where the two worlds concept finds its meaning, not as separate realms but as parts of one experience, ripe with possibility for anyone willing to notice. What if you could move effortlessly between these two modes of being? Not by denying one or the other, but by allowing both to inform your choices. This is the essence of a mindset that sees life as a dance between the external and internal, concrete and subtle, logic and intuition. Often, we get stuck in one or the other, frantically trying to control what's outside or lost in endless daydreams and internal noise. But learning to switch focus deliberately creates a kind of mental flexibility that changes how days unfold. Imagine starting your morning with full attention on your to-do list, but then pausing to notice a quiet feeling rising in your chest or a flicker of an idea that seems unrelated to your task. Instead of pushing it away, you lean in just enough to listen, not to solve, but to be present. Neuroscience tells us that this quiet noticing activates different parts of the brain, associated with creativity and emotional regulation. It opens up space where new connections can happen, often surprising you with insights or moments of calm. This shifting between worlds is like tuning a radio between a clear signal and static, finding moments where your inner and outer realities resonate. It's not about escaping the daily grind or chasing mystical states, but practicing awareness that moves with intention. Over time, it can transform simple acts, drinking tea, walking to work, having a conversation, into opportunities for greater presence, meaning, and creativity. So next time you feel overwhelmed or stuck, try this. Notice something in the room, then check how that attention lands inside you. Is there a thought or feeling that wants space? A subtle nudge you hadn't heard before? Just that small noticing invites the two worlds to converse and enrich one another. Living as a bridge between inner and outer worlds. Think about the last time you felt completely immersed in a moment, perhaps gazing at a sunset or feeling a rush of excitement during a lively conversation. In those moments, there's a sense that your inner world of thoughts, feelings, and sensations is aligning with the outer reality around you. This dance between what's happening inside your mind and what's unfolding outside is a natural process, one that turns you into a bridge connecting these two realms. Living this way means regularly crossing from your internal landscape of emotions and ideas into the physical world, and then returning inward with insights. It's like holding a two-way conversation where both sides are constantly influencing each other, shaping your experience at a fundamental level. Every day presents countless chances to practice this crossing. When you notice your mind drifting into worries or fantasies, and then gently bringing your focus back to your breath or a simple sensation, you're building a habit of awareness. Imagine walking through your daily routine as if you're carrying a delicate gift, the ability to see and feel both your internal states and external circumstances at once. This kind of living turns your life into a continuous act of conscious crossing. For example, turning your walk in the park into a meditation, attending a meeting with full presence, or even cooking while paying close attention to each movement helps you stay connected to both worlds. When your awareness is solid, it's easier to respond to the external environment from a centered place inside, rather than reacting automatically from habits or assumptions. Neurologically, this process involves a balancing act within the brain. Our brainwaves, which oscillate between different states like focused attention or relaxed awareness, help us shift smoothly from inner to outer focus. When you're fully present, your brain shifts into alpha or theta waves, creating a bridge that fuses thoughts and feelings with what's happening outside. People who practice mindfulness often describe feeling more grounded and less caught up in mental chatter. They notice that decisions come more easily, and emotions are less overwhelming because their inner landscape is integrated with their external experience. In essence, living as a bridge is about creating a dialogue, listening to your inner voice while engaging genuinely with the world around you. This often happens naturally when you slow down and pay close attention, allowing your consciousness to unite these two seemingly separate worlds into one flowing experience. Practicing this kind of awareness doesn't need to be complicated. A simple method involves regularly pausing during your day to check in with yourself. Ask questions like, "Where is my attention right now?" Or "What am I feeling inside and outside?" When you notice your thoughts spiraling or your attention drifting, gently guide yourself back to a sensory experience. Maybe the feel of the chair beneath you, the sound of birds, or your breathing. Over time, this practice transforms into a natural way of being, an ongoing crossing between worlds that keeps you connected to the richness of each moment. Living as a bridge isn't about forcing a perfect harmony. It's about learning to hold space for both your inner life and the outer world without losing yourself in either. When you get good at this, life itself becomes a continuous, unfolding conversation, one that makes you more aware, more responsive, and more fully alive. Chapter 13. Beyond Focus 21. Glimpses into Focus 22 to 27 and higher states. Have you ever caught a glimpse of something extraordinary during a meditative moment or a dream? Those fleeting seconds can feel like peeking beyond a veil, where the ordinary fades and something deeper emerges. As we journey beyond Focus 21, we can see higher states of consciousness that take us down paths intertwining science with mystery. In these moments, our understanding of reality shifts, colors become more vivid, and sounds resonate differently. It's as if the universe is whispering secrets that only our heightened perceptions can grasp. The brain, unlike we often perceive, operates on different frequencies, and these subtle shifts can take us into profound experiences. The exploration of these advanced mind states invites us to wonder, what if all of reality exists in layers, and we're just beginning to brush against the surface? Researchers have found that brain waves can be categorized into various types, like alpha, beta, theta, and delta, each corresponding to different states of consciousness. The intriguing part is how brain wave patterns shift during meditation or moments of deep focus, opening doors to deeper understanding and awareness. Imagine a tuning fork, resonating at a specific frequency, allowing one to access altered states. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a physiological reality that you can experience firsthand. To better understand these experiences, it helps to anchor them in personal stories paired with research. For example, a friend of mine, during his daily meditation, stumbled upon a state where time felt irrelevant. He described it as floating in a timeless space, where thoughts transformed into colors and emotions into sounds. The fascinating possibility here is that science aligns with these personal experiences. A study from Harvard showed that meditation can change how our brains function, enhancing areas responsible for emotional regulation and self-awareness. This is not just a mystical journey but one grounded in significant neurological shifts. Every person's journey is unique, and tapping into these altered states can offer personal experiences that resonate deeply. Reflecting on how you feel, what you see, and even what you hear during these times can help you track shifts in your consciousness. A gentle curiosity can lead you to profound realizations, expanding your understanding of not just existence but of your place in it, as well. Why mastery is a lifelong journey. Have you ever noticed how the more you learn, the more you realize there is to discover? Mastery isn't a finish line you cross and then put behind you. Instead, it's more like a dance that changes shape as you do. Each step forward opens up new directions, new movements, and even new rhythms to follow. Our consciousness, the very way we experience and understand the world, expands in waves, sometimes slowly, sometimes in leaps, and mastery unfolds right alongside this growth. Science shows that our brains can continue forming new connections well into adulthood, meaning our potential to grow never truly disappears. At the same time, there's something almost spiritual about this ongoing quest, the sensation that mastery connects us to a deeper flow, a current beneath daily life that invites us to keep learning, refining, and awakening to new possibilities. When I think about mastery, I'm reminded of moments when I felt at ease with a skill, only to discover new layers hiding just beyond my reach. A favorite story is about a friend who spent years perfecting the art of painting. She thought she had nothing new to learn after mastering technique, but one day, she tried a different style and found whole new ways to express herself. Our brain's plasticity, the ability to rewire and adapt, is like a promise that growth never stops. Scientists studying meditation, for example, show that consistent practice can physically change brain structure, improving attention and emotional balance even after decades. This reflects how mastery, whether in art, science, or everyday work, keeps nudging us, keeping us humble about what we know and curious about what we don't. It's living proof that being a lifelong learner is not just useful, but vital for staying inspired and connected to the unfolding mysteries. What if mastery were less about achieving perfection and more about staying open to new experiences? I've read about people who dedicate decades to a craft yet describe the feeling as a long conversation rather than a destination. There's a certain grace in admitting that you don't have it all figured out, that the edges of your understanding keep shifting. Neurologically, this makes sense because the brain's reward systems respond not only to success but to challenge and novelty. When we face something fresh, our dopamine spikes, making learning feel exciting even when it's tough. This explains why the journey feels so alive, rather than just repetitive effort. At the crossroads of science and spirit, mastery becomes less a trophy and more a way to stay curious, present, and engaged with life's deeper currents. One practical way to nourish this endless path is to practice what I call minute mastery. Take just a small piece of your craft or curiosity and give it fresh attention every day. Instead of shooting for huge leaps, try tuning into tiny details that you might usually overlook. If you play an instrument, notice a single note's color or softness. If you write, pause to feel the rhythm of your sentences. These moments reawaken your brain's sensitivity, help your mind deepen rather than just race forward, and keep your relationship with mastery fresh and alive. It's a simple exercise, but it brings back the sense of wonder that fuels lifelong learning, encouraging you to keep dancing with your expanding consciousness, step after step. How the exploration of consciousness evolves over time. Throughout history, humans have been fascinated by the nature of consciousness. Ancient civilizations often saw the mind as a secret garden, filled with mysteries that only the bravest dared to explore. They used stories, rituals, and philosophies to understand the self and its connection to the universe. Over centuries, this view shifted as thinkers and explorers tried to map this inner landscape, believing it could reveal not just personal insight but universal truths. Yet, as much as ancient ideas contributed to our understanding, they were just the starting point, a way to frame questions that science and spirituality continue to ask today. This long journey shows us that our relationship with consciousness isn't static. It's a continuous dance, shifting with scientific discoveries, personal epiphanies, and spiritual awakenings. For hundreds of years, we wondered if the mind was a simple product of the brain, or something more mysterious. Then, in recent decades, neuroscience began to peel back layers, revealing that different brain regions are linked to everything from emotions to self-awareness. At the same time, spiritual teachings have pointed us inward, suggesting that consciousness may be something beyond what our neurons tell us. With each new discovery or experience, our understanding deepens, proving that this pursuit is never truly finished but always unfolding. What if the real story of consciousness is a blend of facts and mystery, science and poetry? Maybe our exploration isn't about finding definitive answers but about asking the right questions. As we develop new tools to examine the brain, like brainwave trackers or advanced imaging, we get glimpses of how our states shift, whether we're in deep sleep, wakefulness, or altered states like meditation. These moments are like windows, offering glimpses into a dimension that seems both familiar and strange. The more we look, the more we realize that consciousness isn't just something we have. It's something we are constantly shaping through our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. To notice how this exploration continues in everyday life, try simply paying close attention to how your mood shifts throughout the day. Observe what happens when you're deeply focused, relaxed, or distracted. Notice the physical sensations that come with different states, like a feeling of lightness during calmness or tension during stress. These small shifts in awareness can serve as a map, helping us understand that consciousness is not a fixed point but a moving target that responds to everything around and within us. The question is, how open are you to experiencing your own mind as a constantly changing landscape, both mysterious and full of potential? Sometimes, the simplest awareness can reveal more about ourselves than all the elaborate theories ever could. The responsibility of expanded awareness. Have you ever found yourself immersed in a moment so deeply that the world around you fades into the background? There are times when I pause and truly notice the details, the rustling leaves, the laughter of children, the way shadows dance on the pavement. These experiences remind me that our attention often narrows to what is right in front of us, leaving the richness of broader awareness unexamined. I remember a day at the park when I sat quietly, allowing the sounds and sights to wash over me. Birds were flitting between branches, and the warmth of the sun wrapped around me like a gentle hug. In those moments, I felt vibrant with life, connected to everything around me. This broader awareness opens doors to a richer understanding of our surroundings and the people in our lives. It invites us to reflect on the interconnectedness of our experiences. You might think about how food brings people together, or how a kind gesture can ripple through a community. Scientific studies on mindfulness show that when we expand our awareness, we not only enhance our emotional well-being but also cultivate empathy and understanding. Every moment becomes an opportunity to notice what we often overlook, the beauty in the mundane or the lesson in a chance encounter. With this expanded perception comes a responsibility, a gentle urge to approach what we notice with care and humility. When we see more, we also shoulder the weight of what we've seen. You may wonder, how do we navigate this newfound awareness without feeling overwhelmed? It involves embracing curiosity as a guiding light. Instead of rushing to judgment or action, we can allow ourselves to reflect. Ask yourself questions like, what does this mean for me? Or how can I support others based on what I've learned? Practicing humility is also essential. Recognizing that our perspective is just one of many helps us stay grounded. When we engage with others' viewpoints, we invite deeper connections and foster understanding. There's a certain magic in sharing stories or listening deeply. Science tells us that when we engage in genuine conversation, our brains release oxytocin and dopamine, chemicals that promote bonding and happiness. As we navigate this broader awareness, we can purposefully cultivate practices that keep us aligned with our sense of responsibility. Simple exercises like journaling about daily observations or spending just a few minutes in nature can remind us of our connection to the world. Consider dedicating time each day to observe something anew, whether it's a flower blooming or the smile of a stranger. Noticing these details helps transform our perspective and nurtures a genuine appreciation for life. In these moments of expanded awareness, we stand at the intersection of responsibility and curiosity. What if, instead of feeling burdened by this awareness, we viewed it as an invitation to grow? The next time you find yourself caught in the rush of daily life, pause. What do you notice that you've never noticed before? Let that awareness guide you forward, illuminating the path for both yourself and those around you. The real frontier is within. The truth, Focus 21 isn't about escape, it's about presence. Have you ever caught yourself thinking that turning inward, quieting your mind, focusing deeply on your breath or body, is a way of running away from the noise outside? Many people see practices like Focus 21, or any inward attention method, as a kind of escape hatch, a way to dodge life's challenges rather than face them. It's easy to assume that retreating inside your own consciousness must mean checking out of reality. But that's not what's happening here. Instead of hiding or withdrawing, what's really unfolding is a fuller, richer connection to the moment you're in. It sounds almost paradoxical. By turning inside, you're actually stepping more fully into what's real. Our brains are so wired to distraction that even when we're sitting quietly, our thoughts are running on a fast track, flitting between regrets, plans, fears, and fantasies. Focusing inward isn't about shutting that train down. It's about stepping onto the platform to watch it go by without jumping on. When you practice something like Focus 21, you're cultivating a presence that's anchored in the now, not drifting off into mental daydreams or runaway worries. It requires attention and intention, both of which call you to inhabit your experience fully, with openness and without judgment. Neuroscience backs this up. Research on mindfulness and focused attention shows that actively directing your mind inward activates brain regions linked with awareness and emotional regulation. This isn't about escape, it's about clarity. When you're really present, your brain slows down some of its constant chatter, allowing you to see your thoughts as objects rather than getting swept up in them. That clarity helps you engage with life as it unfolds, not as you fear or hope it might be. Presence is the opposite of avoidance. It's leaning into the moment, even if it's uncomfortable or imperfect. Imagine Focus 21 as a doorway, not an escape hatch. It's not a place where you vanish from the world, but where you become more vividly awake to it. What if Focus 21 doesn't pull you away from what's happening, but instead invites you to feel everything more deeply and clearly? Many times, people expect that focusing inward means blanking out or going numb, but often the opposite occurs. You become starkly aware of the textures of your experience. Sounds become sharper, sensations intensify, and thoughts shed their usual fuzz. This is because Focus 21 aligns your brainwaves to a rhythm where awareness expands, especially in the alpha and theta ranges, which facilitate relaxed alertness and heightened intuition. In practical terms, Focus 21 offers a way to meet reality with open eyes and open heart. By honing your consciousness, you develop the capacity to observe your inner landscape, your feelings, thoughts, and sensations, without the usual filters of judgment or distraction. This observation doesn't distance you. It brings you closer to what is true for you in the moment. You might notice small details you never saw before, like the subtle tension in your shoulders or the brief flicker of emotion that passes through your mind. That's presence, happening in real time. Science and spirit come together here, where brain rhythms synchronize to create a space for expanded awareness. While neuroscience can explain the electrical patterns in your brain, it can't fully capture what it's like to be truly present. That's something you experience directly, when your mind is quiet but alert, and your attention is neither grasping nor fleeing but resting with something raw and alive. Focus 21 opens the way to this experience, not as a form of escape but as a grounding, subtle art of inhabiting yourself amidst the noisy world outside. One small practice to try is simple. Next time you feel overwhelmed or distracted, close your eyes for 15 seconds and gently bring your attention to the space between your eyebrows, the spot often called the third eye. Don't try to force anything. Just rest your awareness there, soft and curious. Notice what shifts. Does the chatter slow? Does your sense of time change? This minifocus can serve as a gentle reminder that presence isn't about fleeing reality but inhabiting it with fresh eyes. You've always had access to this threshold. Have you ever experienced a moment when everything around you seemed to pause, and suddenly, a tiny shift inside your mind or heart made everything feel different? Maybe during a quiet walk when the world seemed to slow down, or in a fleeting dream that left just enough space for curiosity to linger. Sometimes, these moments come and go so quickly that we hardly notice them, yet they carry a whisper, reminding us that we possess an inner landscape as vast as the sky itself. It's as if, for a brief second, we see beyond our usual boundaries and glimpse the deeper layers of ourselves, waiting patiently for us to acknowledge their presence. This sensation, elusive at times, often acts like a gentle nudge, hinting at a quiet doorway within. It's not locked away in distant otherworlds or mystical places but is always nearby, inside us, hidden beneath layers of routines, distractions, and beliefs. Think of it like a familiar room that's been slightly hidden behind a curtain, waiting for your awareness to brush aside the fabric and step through. That moment of inner shift is like crossing a threshold, moving from our ordinary state of busy consciousness into a place of calm, insight, or even a sense of connection to something bigger. When you notice these fleeting sensations, it's as if the universe is nudging you, saying, "There's more here than meets the eye." Science offers clues about this experience, suggesting that our brain has different modes, states that shift rapidly, often without us noticing. The narrower focus and heightened alertness of daily life, driven by what's called beta waves, can cloud the more expansive and receptive states associated with alpha and theta waves. These brain states are linked to calmness, daydreaming, or deep relaxation, times when the doorways to inner worlds tend to open wider. What if these shifts happen more often than we realize, but we simply haven't learned to recognize them as pathways? They may be small, quiet, and easily overlooked, yet they are always there. All it takes is a flicker of awareness, an intentional pause, to step through, even momentarily, and find ourselves in a different, more open part of our minds. The invitation: explore, respect, and integrate. Have you ever paused to reflect on the world within you? Consider this: our inner landscapes are often vast and uncharted, filled with shadows and light waiting to be understood. Every thought, emotion, and memory contributes to this intricate territory. When we take a moment to contemplate our own consciousness, we find layers that can heavily influence how we perceive the outside world. What if the true adventure lies not just in the places we can visit, but in the depths of our own minds? This journey invites us to lean into curiosity. Have you ever noticed how some experiences feel like they spark a profound understanding or shift in perspective? Those moments are invitations to look deeper. They encourage a dialogue with ourselves, where we can ask questions like, "What do I truly feel?" or "What memories shaped my beliefs?" Each reflection can lead us to a new discovery, a deeper connection with who we are. Our inner work is not simply about seeking answers but embracing questions, knowing that each inquiry opens a door to another space within. Self-exploration is not always comfortable. It asks something of us, often our ego and our preconceived notions. What if we approached this inner journey with a sense of respect? Imagine treating your thoughts and feelings as old friends you'd like to get to know rather than chaos to manage. This mindset helps cultivate a sense of humility in the exploration. There is no destination to reach. Rather, it's about learning to stroll peacefully through our own minds, savoring each step. What if you took a few minutes today to simply breathe and listen to your inner voice? What might it reveal? Foster that dialogue, respect that space, and allow yourself to be surprised by what you discover. Small, intentional acts of awareness can be transformative over time. Final reflection on human potential when we actually look inside. Have you ever paused for a moment and wondered what lies beneath the surface of who you are? When we step back from distractions and actually look inside ourselves, something extraordinary happens. The usual limits we accept on our abilities begin to blur. Our minds, emotions, and spirits reveal layers we rarely acknowledge in daily life. Science tells us that our brains can rewire, that consciousness can expand, that our sense of self is far more fluid than fixed. Yet this is only part of the story. To truly grasp human potential, we need to venture beyond what's measurable, beyond IQ tests or productivity metrics, and peer into the quiet spaces where our real strength quietly simmers. What if the true frontier isn't outside in some distant achievement, but inside our own experience? Somewhere within the swirling impulses of neurons and the echo of memories, there is a reservoir waiting. It's subtle and profound, like an untapped current beneath a calm sea. When you look beyond the surface judgments of I can or I can't, you may find something that rewrites your understanding of what's possible. This is where resilience is hidden, creativity is born, and wisdom gently unfolds. The inner landscape is not a static place. It evolves with each thought, each feeling, each breath. By turning our gaze inward, we challenge the boundaries not just of what we think we can do, but who we believe we are. Exploring the inner world with openness often reveals resources we didn't know we had. Sometimes it's like finding an old, forgotten room in your own house, filled with treasures that shape your view of life. This inward journey invites us to meet parts of ourselves with curiosity instead of judgment. The mind's ability to create stories often restricts us, labeling feelings as good or bad, possible or impossible. But beneath these stories lie deeper truths, our innate creativity, the gentle resilience that springs back from hardship, and the intuitive wisdom that guides decisions without us fully understanding how. Psychology has shown how mindfulness and self-reflection can increase these inner qualities, but it is more than just technique. It's an embrace of our entire being, even the messy or quiet parts we tend to hide. Have you noticed how moments of stillness can suddenly bring clarity? Maybe during a walk, or just before sleep, thoughts unravel and new ideas take shape. This is the proof that within each person is an untapped well of insight. Some scientists studying brainwaves find that slower rhythms, like theta waves, are linked to creativity and deep learning, states we often access when we pause and turn inward. This suggests that embracing our internal flow isn't just poetic, it is connected to how our bodies and minds actually work. There is also a mystery here, because no matter how much technology advances, the subjective experience of consciousness remains elusive. It's a reminder that human potential includes elements that science cannot fully explain yet. Try this. Set aside just 5 minutes a day to sit quietly with your thoughts, without trying to fix or change anything. Watch what arises without rushing to label it. This simple practice can open tiny doorways to new ways of seeing yourself and your challenges. Over time, these moments add up. You might notice unexpected sparks of imagination or a growing sense of calm. These are signs you are cultivating the hidden gifts within. When we slow down enough to meet ourselves fully, the potential inside feels less like a distant dream and more like a quietly glowing truth. What might happen if you treated your inner world as a rich landscape to explore, rather than something to tame or escape? The journey inward is one that reshapes how you meet the world, offering fresh confidence rooted in something deeper than chance or circumstance. Appendices. Guided induction scripts. Sometimes, a quiet moment can feel like stepping into another world. I remember one evening sitting quietly by a window, watching the soft rain streak the glass. As I focused on the gentle sounds and the rhythmic drip of each drop, a surprisingly deep sense of calm washed over me. It was as if the mind had gently slowed, almost outside of time. That moment of peace was like a doorway, a gateway into a quiet state where thoughts drift away and awareness shifts. It's fascinating how simple acts, paying close attention, breathing slowly, can open the door to altered states of consciousness. This experience made me wonder, how can we consciously guide ourselves into those moments of calm? Guided induction scripts are like maps for the mind, providing a step-by-step route into relaxation or deeper awareness. They combine evidence from brain science with poetic language, turning the act of relaxation into a gentle journey. When crafted carefully, these scripts help us settle into a receptive state, one where the mind becomes more open, ideas flow freely, and perception shifts. It's almost as if, with a little guidance, we can invite the mind to glide onto a different plane, one that's quieter and more expansive. To create an effective induction script, start with simple language that invites curiosity. Use descriptive words that evoke the senses, like warmth, weightlessness, or gentle waves, to help the listener or yourself imagine a calm space. The key is to blend science and poetry, frame the process with references to brainwaves, the slowing of alpha or theta activity, and then weave in images or metaphors that resonate on an emotional level. For example, comparing the mind to a quiet lake or a peaceful forest makes the instructions feel more natural and engaging. When people follow such scripts, they often experience a shift not just in body but in perception, as the boundaries between thoughts and sensations soften. Here's a simple example of a guided induction to try. Find a comfortable spot where you won't be disturbed for a few minutes. Close your eyes gently and take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, imagine releasing any tension or worry. Repeat this a few times, each time sinking a little deeper into relaxation. Then, picture a peaceful place, a quiet beach, a lush garden, or a cozy cabin. Focus on the details, the warmth of the sun, the scent of pine, the sound of distant waves. As you imagine this scene, allow your awareness to follow the rhythm of your breath, feeling your body becoming more relaxed with each exhale. Let your mind drift into this calm space, floating gently in the safety of your imagination. This kind of step-by-step visualization acts like a gentle release valve, letting pressure go and inviting in a space for clarity or rest. The language used encourages the nervous system to shift towards a calmer state, which science shows aligns with slower brainwaves like theta. The more you practice, the more familiar this process becomes. You start to recognize that relaxation isn't just something that happens randomly. It can be guided intentionally with words and images that resonate deeply. Over time, you may notice your ability to enter these states increases, and you can use simple scripts whenever you feel the need for a mental reset or a moment of quiet. If you want to experiment further, try developing your own script. Think about places or images that evoke peace for you, perhaps a favorite quiet spot, a memory of a gentle breeze, or a calming melody. When writing your script, speak as if you are guiding a friend, kind, clear, and relaxed. Imagine describing a scene with just enough detail to stimulate the senses, then invite your awareness to sink into this space. Remember, the key is consistency. Even a few minutes daily can strengthen your ability to quickly shift into these calming states whenever needed. Recommended resources and audio programs. Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the everyday hustle? Sometimes, it feels like a gentle nudge is needed to explore the intricate layers of consciousness. Curated resources and audio programs can be those nudge, guiding us deeper into self-awareness and understanding. Imagine sipping a cup of tea while listening to enchanting sounds that transport you beyond the ordinary noise of life. These resources blend science and art, not just by providing information but by igniting our curiosity and inspiring exploration. With each listen or read, layers of knowledge unfold, revealing the dance between science and the mysteries of consciousness. Thoughtful selections, from podcasts discussing neuroscience to books on mystical traditions, serve as companions, inviting us to be explorers in our own minds. Imagine pressing play and being enveloped by soothing sounds that seem to echo the whispers of the universe. Audio programs can offer immersive experiences that encourage relaxation and introspection. Whether it's guided meditations that lead you through the tranquil landscapes of your mind or binaural beats designed to align brainwaves with states of focus and tranquility, there's a world of audio waiting to enrich your journey. Recommended resources don't stop at audio. They include thoughtful literature that blends perspectives from psychology and spirituality. Books by authors who have paved the way in consciousness studies can spark questions in you, pushing you to think beyond the surface. What if you began with small practices? Start with 5 minutes of conscious listening each day. As you engage, you might find insights bubbling up, allowing a new layer of awareness to unfold. This isn't just about gathering knowledge, it's about welcoming a new way of experiencing the world. Reflect on what you hear, feel the vibrations of sound in your body, and let them guide you. The journey is both personal and shared, as these resources connect seekers across the globe. Each piece, whether audio or written, ignites curiosity and encourages deeper exploration into what it means to be conscious. Remember to keep an open mind as you navigate this landscape of learning and discovery. Self-reflection worksheets for altered state tracking. Have you ever experienced a moment when your usual sense of reality shifted, like time slowed, your thoughts curved in strange patterns, or your body felt oddly detached? These moments can be glimpses into altered states of consciousness, places where the mind dances to a different rhythm, where the ordinary rules seem to bend. Tracking these experiences isn't just a curiosity, it's a way to learn about your mind's deeper layers. Self-reflection worksheets act like bridges, helping you cross from the overwhelming swirl of sensation into a clearer view of what happened inside. They provide a structure to catch fleeting insights, feelings, or sensations that might otherwise slip away in the rush of everyday life. When you write down details about an altered state, the colors you saw, the emotions you felt, or the thoughts that came unbidden, you create a map of something usually invisible. Research in psychology shows that journaling or reflective writing can strengthen memory and help organize emotional storms. In particular, these worksheets support awareness of subtle shifts in brainwaves, like when alpha waves give way to theta rhythms during meditation or daydreaming. By naming the experience, describing the sensations, and noting the context, you begin to hold on to these moments with a gentle but firm grasp. It's like catching a fish that swims just beneath the surface of your mind. You can observe its movements without disturbing the water too much. What's magical is how these worksheets invite both a scientific and poetic approach. You're encouraged to describe feelings in both concrete and metaphorical terms. For example, you might note how your thoughts felt like soft waves, or how your body weight seemed to melt into the chair. This blend helps connect raw sensory data with your emotional landscape. While neuroscience explains some of the brain's electrical magic during altered states, the personal story remains a mystery only you can tell. The worksheet becomes a kind of conversation partner, to hold your reflections without judgment, and to help you notice patterns emerging over time. Starting with a self-reflection worksheet is easier than it sounds, and you don't need to write a novel. Simply jotting down your experience as soon after the state as possible captures details before they fade. Begin by noting the setting. Where were you? What time of day? What sensory input surrounded you? These details set the stage and sometimes unlock connections later. Next, describe what changed inside. Did your breathing alter? Did colors seem different? Was time faster or slower? Try to name emotions. Were you curious, anxious, joyful, or something more elusive? This helps turn abstract feelings into something you can observe without being overwhelmed. As you fill in the worksheet, you might notice recurring themes or triggers. Perhaps being outdoors at dusk often brings on a dreamy stillness, or deep focus occurs after listening to certain sounds. Over weeks or months, these observations deepen your understanding of your own consciousness, offering clues about how your brain cycles through different states and why some feel more healing or enlightening than others. Keeping the process gentle and open-ended invites a sense of discovery rather than pressure. It's not about getting it right or analyzing in a clinical way, but about holding space for your mind's quiet or wild shifts and honoring their presence. Here's a simple practice to try right now. After an altered state, whether it's a brief daydream, a deep meditation, or even a vivid dream, take 5 minutes to fill out your worksheet. Start with sensory notes, then move into emotions, thoughts, and any symbolic images that surfaced. If words don't flow, draw or doodle what you experienced. This can unlock parts of your awareness that spoken language sometimes misses. Over time, the act of tracking these changes builds a rich inner archive. You become both observer and participant in your mind's shifting play, developing a clearer sense of when you feel expanded, contracted, or just changed in some beautiful, mysterious way. What new patterns might you discover in your mind's hidden currents? The next time you slip into an altered state, turn toward that moment with curiosity and a worksheet in hand. Let your reflections be a quiet invitation to keep exploring, drawing you gently deeper into the vastness residing within. Glossary of terms. Imagine stepping into a room filled with mysteries and symbols, each term acting like a key that unlocks a deeper understanding of your inner worlds. Knowing these words can transform your curiosity into clarity, turning abstract concepts into personal tools of self-awareness. As you become familiar with the language used in spiritual and psychological explorations, you open a door to see yourself with new eyes, beyond the surface. Words carry vibrations, stories, and meanings that can guide your journey inward, making complex ideas feel more tangible and less mysterious. Let's take a moment to look at some of these core terms, like lanterns lighting up different corners of your inner landscape. For example, consciousness often describes the aware part of your mind, the thoughts, feelings, and perceptions you're aware of right now. It's like watching a movie unfold in your mind, but understanding consciousness invites you to notice the projector behind the scenes, your deeper awareness that observes everything. Subconscious is the quieter, sometimes hidden layer, holding memories, habits, and feelings you might not be fully aware of but still influence your choices. Think of it as the backstage area of your mind, bustling with activity just out of sight. Another essential term is altered states, which refers to shifts in awareness that take you out of your normal waking mind. This could happen during meditation, lucid dreaming, or even when you're deeply absorbed in a story or song. These states feel like stepping into a different room, sometimes more vivid, other times more peaceful or mysterious. Understanding these terms helps you see that your mind isn't fixed. It can shift, stretch, and even transcend ordinary boundaries. With each new word, you gain a little more mastery over your internal universe, like learning a language that lets you speak to your deeper self. To make this learning more relatable, consider that every word is a mirror reflecting different facets of your consciousness. When you hear mindfulness, you might picture a quiet observer watching your thoughts drift by like clouds. When you think of intention, perhaps you see a gentle arrow pointing your energy toward a goal. These terms become like signposts guiding you through your inner territory. As you absorb their meanings, you start to recognize how your thoughts and feelings are connected to your larger sense of self. This understanding shifts your relationship with these words from mere labels to channels of insight. Practicing a simple exercise can deepen your connection with these terms. For example, pick one word, say, awareness, and spend a few moments focusing on what it means for you. Notice how it feels in your body, what images or memories it evokes, what tone it carries. Does awareness feel like a gentle tide, a bright light, or a quiet space? Naming what you experience helps solidify the connection between language and inner experience. Over time, these words will become familiar companions, guiding your curiosity and opening new pathways to understanding yourself better. The deeper you explore these terms, the more you see that each is a doorway rather than a barrier. Words like neuroplasticity remind us that our brains are adaptable and capable of change, even in adulthood, giving hope that growth is always possible. Lucid dreaming offers a glimpse into a conscious inner world that you can learn to navigate intentionally. These concepts serve as tools, inviting you to experiment with your mind, stretch your beliefs, and perhaps even meet parts of yourself you've never known before. When words are woven into stories of science and mysticism, they become living guides, hints pointing toward the most profound chapters of your unfolding journey. After all the methods, maps, and stories, one truth remains. Focus 21 is not about leaving reality. It's about entering it more fully. Crossing this threshold doesn't turn you into someone new. It reveals more of who you've always been. It gives you glimpses of the mind's vastness, yes, but it also brings you back to the simple miracle of presence. The more you explore, the more you realize, the extraordinary has been here all along, tucked inside the ordinary. So consider this less a conclusion and more an opening. A reminder that the doorway is never locked, never far, and never out of reach. With practice, curiosity, and respect, you can step across it as often as you like. The real frontier isn't in distant galaxies or hidden temples, it's in you. And Focus 21 is simply one way of remembering how to walk toward it. Thank you for walking this threshold with me. May your journeys be rich, your returns grounding, and your discoveries a gift to both your inner and outer worlds.